Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. This is Sham Kagod here. If there's no issue with the sound, let's start. Do let me know if the sound is correct. Give me a thumbs up, yes, right, or why yes, anything is okay. Done. Thanks a lot. Let's start. So we were discussing Indian economy, and specifically within Indian economy, we were discussing the concept of law of demand and the law of supply. Now, before I go forward, what we have discussed, just in a nutshell, we started with the definition of economics. What is economics? We defined it. Should you by heart it? Should you take, let's say, 4 days, 5 days to by heart that definition? No, please do not worry about the definition. In simple terms, economics here is a study of behavior, study of your behavior, my behavior, government's behavior, or even companies' behavior, because all of us face scarcity. Because there's a scarcity, we face a scarcity. Scarcity means what? The resources that we have are limited. I hope you remember the term resources. The resources we have are limited, but we want to achieve, we want to produce, we want to purchase, etc., etc. So many things. How do we allocate these resources? Right? How do we basically allocate these resources? That is basically the idea of economics. Then economics is divided into two parts: micro and macro. Macro means everything in summation, the total aggregates in the economy, whereas micro means study of individual units. Then the concept of the evolution in economics. We have discussed what is the feature related to capitalism, what are the features related to socialism, and what are the features related to mixed economy. And the simplest way to remember all of it is, right, understand this: who will control the resources? I hope you remember the term. Who will control the resources? Right, because the one who will control the resources will decide what to be produced, how much to be produced, where to be sold, at what prices to be sold. In case of capitalism, private sector. In case of socialism, government, that is the public sector. And in case of mixed economy, it's basically a mixture of both private sector as well as the government. Right, after the concept of the evolution, we have discussed the idea of the law of demand and the law of supply. Or before that, we discussed the idea of opportunity cost as well. Opportunity cost simply means what? The cost of the best next alternative. Simple. Because you have two options, you will choose one, you will ignore the other, you will forego the other. So what is the cost of the next best alternative that you're foregone? That is basically the idea of opportunity cost. Why there's opportunity cost? Because simply I told you, you have limited resources. Simple. You have limited resources. You do not have unlimited resources. You have unlimited resources. Because you have limited resources, you have to choose one and forego. Forego means leave another option. And what is the cost of the foregone option or the next best alternative? That is basically the concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost can be negative. Opportunity cost can be positive. Remember those concepts. And then we started with the concept of law of demand and law of supply. What is law of demand? Law of demand states that if nothing else changes in the economy, and when I say nothing else, there's a term called as ceteris paribus. I hope you remember this. Again, is it relevant for UPSC? Absolutely no. It's a term very famous in economics. Just have a glance. Ceteris paribus simply means if everything else remains unchanged. So in the context of law of demand, if nothing else changes, everything remains unchanged, and the price changes, then the demand will also change. That is, the price and demand are inversely related. Price goes up, demand will go down, and price goes down, demand goes up. That is the basic idea of a law of demand. Why does it happen? Simple. People will start substituting the products. I hope you remember this. People will start substituting the products. If price of tea goes up, I will shift from tea to coffee. It simply means I've substituted tea with coffee. So substitution is done by the people, and that is the precise reason why the demand will go down. And the other reason is we generally go for or we generally have lower purchasing power now, because at the same amount of money I'll not be able to purchase same quantity, I'll be able to purchase lower quantity. So because of the change in the purchasing power, because of right, basically the substitution, etc., people will reduce their demand. So that is law of demand. And what is law of supply? If prices will go up, the supply will also go up, and if prices will go down, the supply will also go down. And it is very logical, because you are the seller here, because you are basically wanting to earn a lot of profit. Obviously when the prices will go up, you will earn more profit, so you'll supply more. When the prices will go down, you will earn lesser profit, you will supply less. So this is the gist of what we have discussed in the last class. Let's continue. Two more concepts related to supply and demand curve. One is called as a movement along the curve, and second one is called as shift of the curve. Okay, understand both of them very carefully. One is called as shift of the curve. Second one is referred to as movement along the curve. Let me start with the second one here. Let me start with the second one. Shift of the curve. Always remember this. Shift of the curve will happen whenever there's a change in any other factor, parameter, or factor other than price. I'll explain to you. And for civil services, should you know, right, how to draw the curves or line, etc., please don't worry. When I say this, trust me when I say this. Do not worry. You will not be asked to draw the curves. You will not be asked to draw the graph in GS paper. Do not worry about it. Follow the concept. So if you remember last class, I told you the demand in the market can change, or even for that matter, supply. Demand in the market can change because of various factors. Right? I hope you remember this. The demand in the market can change because of various factors. For example, the demand in the market can change because of the price of the commodity. It can change because of price of the related goods. It can change because your taste and preference will change. It can change because your income will change. All of you remember this. Please do participate when I ask your question. I hope all of you remember this. So the demand in the market can change because of various of these factors. And if you remember, law of demand takes into consideration only the price. Only the price will be considered, nothing else, because we are assuming everything else remains same, unchanged. Now follow this very carefully. Whenever the price of the product changes, price of the commodity changes, it will lead to movement along the curve. Right? Whenever the price of the product changes, it will lead to movement along the curve. And whenever any other factor changes, such as price of the related goods, the taste and preference of the consumer, the income of the consumer, etc., you will not observe movement. Rather, you will observe there is a shift in the curve. There is a shift in the curve. Now, what do you mean by shift in the curve? Let me ask you a very simple question. Imagine the line is here. Any line. Don't worry about demand, etc. Simple. Imagine the line is here, but this line will shift to right like this. Can I say that line has shifted to the right? Let me know if you disagree. The original line is, let's say I'll number them 1. For whatever reason, the line is drawn, or another, or let's say not another line, the line has moved like this. Can I call this as a shift? Right? Original line has got shifted, and shifted to what? It has shifted to right. And it can also shift which side? It can also shift in this side, and I'll call this as a left shift, or the line has shifted to the left. So understand the logic here. right? Understand the logic here. The line can shift either to the right or left. I'll tell you why they will shift. Have patience. Always have patience. Some of you are trying to teach me, so have patience. So there are situations where the line will either shift it to the right or the line will shift it to the left. Sir, will it happen only for the demand curve? Absolutely no. It will happen to the demand curve as well as supply curve. But what is most important? What should you remember? Point number one. Whenever the price of the product means, imagine you're talking about this bottle. Whenever price of this bottle changes, you will not observe a shift, you will observe movement. I've not yet gone to the moment. And second point, whenever you observe any other factor changing except the price, that is, price of its substitute will change, price of its complement will change, your income changes, your taste and preference changes, etc. In such cases, you will not observe movement, but you will observe a shift in the curve. Now, this shift can happen either to the right or to the left. Now, coming to the point, I'll come back to this, don't worry. Coming to the point, sir, why do we observe the shift here? Simple. Let's say hypothetically, your income is 100 rupees. Just take simple numbers. Let's say hypothetically, your income is 100 rupees. Now, this bottle will cost you, let's say, 20 rupees per unit. Is it okay? Right? One, your income is 100. The cost of the bottle is 20 rupees per unit. Now, how many bottles can you purchase? Simple. How many bottles can you purchase? You'll be able to purchase 5 bottles. Done? Now, imagine your income will change from 100 rupees to, let's say, 120 rupees. Your income will change from 100 rupees to 120 rupees. The price of the bottle remains the same. Follow this. The price of the bottle is not changing. It remains the same. But now, at 20 rupees per unit, how many bottles will you be able to purchase? You'll be able to purchase 6 bottles. Right? Is the logic okay? You'll be able to purchase 6 bottles. So the price of the product is not changing, but how much will you be able to purchase? That quantity is changing. Can I take vice versa? Opposite. Of course, yes. Rather than 100 rupees, what if your income will fall to 80 rupees now? What if your income comes down to 80 rupees? So at 20 rupees, now you'll not be able to purchase 5. You'll be able to purchase only 4 bottles. Now, is the logic okay here? What is the logic I'm trying to explain here? Price remains the same, but your income is changing. And when your income changes at the same price, either you'll be able to purchase more of it or lesser of it. Now, let's take a very simple example. Imagine you're here. Imagine you are here. Right? Let's say this is 5 units. This is 5 units. I'll write it again. This is 5 units. Okay, and the price of the bottle is, let's say, 20 rupees. This is 20, this is 5. So obviously you are at this point. You're at this point on the graph or basically on the curve. Now, what if your income goes up? It changes from 100 rupees to 120 rupees. In such cases, at same 20 rupees, you will not purchase 5 now. You'll basically purchase, let's say, 6 units. So when you will purchase 6 units, do you think the graph will remain at the same point? Just think of it. When you will purchase 6 units, do you think the graph, imagine this is the original graph or original curve. Do you think the original graph will remain at the same position? Of course, no. Right? The point will shift. This point will shift. And that's the reason, if you remember in the last class, I told you, please remember how these lines are drawn. The line is nothing but connection, or basically it is a joining of all the points like this. So when at 20 rupees, now you'll purchase 6 bottles, the point will shift to the right. And when the point will shift to the right, all these other points will, of course, shift to the right. And as a result of this shift to the right, what you'll observe? The whole curve or the whole line of the demand will also shift to the right. Any difficulty here? Any difficulty, please do let me know. It's a very basic idea because the price does not change. And right, your income changes. What will happen? At the same price, now you'll be able to purchase more. As a result of this point which was earlier on the curve now will shift. Can the vice versa happen? Can the opposite happen? Of course, yes. Rather than 100 rupees, what if your income will fall down to 80 rupees? Now at 80 rupees, you will be able to purchase only 4 units. Now the curve or the line will shift to the left. Right? So the line or the curve can shift to the right and can shift to the left. But please get this idea tattooed in your mind. Is it okay? Please remember this particular point. Price is not changing. This is very, very important. Price is not changing. Something else is changing. For example, your income changes. Your taste and preference changes. Sir, how if my taste changes, the curve will shift? Simple. Imagine now you're interested not in buying of this product. You're interested in buying of some other product. So price of the product remains the same, 20. But rather than purchasing 5 units, you will reduce your consumption to 4 units. Right? Or you want to purchase more and more of the same bottle because you are interested in consumption of that product. So whenever income, right, or let's say the taste and preference or the price of the related goods, etc., changes, what you'll observe is the curve will shift to either to the right or to the left. This is very important. Now, some of you are telling me, sir, but in the table it is changing, etc., Please understand, this is called as a demand table or demand schedule. I'll be very specific because I know some of you are from economics background. You'll start correcting me. This is called as a demand schedule. What is this idea for demand schedule? And should you remember this for civil services? Absolutely no. The idea for demand schedule is that at different prices, how much is the demand for the product will be calculated. Is it okay? At different prices, how much is the demand for the quantity of the product that is provided in the demand schedule. And at 20 rupees per product, earlier demand was, let's say, 180. Now, because your income has increased, now the demand will be 200, which means there is a shift in the curve. That is exactly the idea for demand schedule here. Now, please understand, do not by heart the demand schedule. This UPSC will not ask you. This UPSC will not ask you. Just to give an idea, that is the prices will remain same. At 20 rupees, the demand will change. At 30 rupees, the demand will change. At 40 rupees, the demand will change. I've given the demand schedule here. Okay, and this is a basic idea of a shift in the curve. Is the curve a straight line or a curved line? I've answered this in the last session also. Generally, whenever you talk about a very long-term curve, you generally draw a straight line. But can the curve be actually a curved line? Can the demand curve be represented like this as well? Absolutely yes. Nothing wrong with that. It can be represented in a concave curve like this also. But generally, we are looking at a very, very longer duration. So you'll generally have a straight line in the curve. Right? If you draw a curve line, is it wrong in a demand curve? Absolutely no. Nothing is wrong. Done. So this is the discussion related to concept of shift of the curve. Any difficulty, please do let me know. Second one, there is the idea of a movement along the curve. Okay. There is this idea of the movement along the curve. What is this movement along the curve? Let me explain. Let me go back to the same, right, the demand curve. And let's say you are at this position. That is, the price of the product is 40 rupees and the demand for the commodities is 140 units. Sir, should I learn demand schedule? No. Please do not learn about demand schedule. When I say this, listen to me. Do not learn demand schedule. It is not relevant for civil services. That is the reason I said do not by heart it. But even then, you're asking me, sir, should I learn demand schedule? Okay. Now, come back to this. Imagine you're at 40 rupees and the demand for the product in the market is how much? 140 units. I'll take a simple idea here. Imagine you're at this position. You're at point L. What is this point L? What does the point L represent? Point L represents the quantity of 140 units and the price of 40 rupees per unit. Done? Right? So 40 rupees per unit and quantity demand is 140 units. So this is point one. Point number two. Now you tell me, simple question. You tell me, if the price of the product changes from 40 rupees to 50 rupees, what do you think will happen to demand? Again, you do not have to be an expert in this. You do not have to have a PhD also. Price goes up from 40 rupees to 50 rupees. Price goes up. What should happen to the demand? The demand will go down. All of you agree? The demand should go down. And I've given a simple number here. Imagine the price goes up from 40 rupees to 50 rupees. The demand will go down from 140 to 120 units. Now, please have a look at it. Where the point, that is 50 rupees and 120 units, where does the point fall? I hope you understand. Where does this point fall in the line? Is it falling in the line or right off the line, out of the line? Where does it fall? When you plot it, you will realize that you're basically shifting from one point on the line. I repeat, you're basically shifting from position L to position M. And this point M again will fall on the line. Any difficulty? Again, I'll repeat it. It's a very simple idea. The line is already there. You're at point L. And now, when the prices will change, you will try to find where is the point fall. Where is this new position actually coming on? And you will realize that you're basically shifting from position L or point L to point M. Can I say, look at the picture. Can I say point M is again on the line? Can I say the point M is again on the line? And what is happening here? Are you going out of the line? Is the line shifting? Is the point basically moving? I hope you understand this. Is the line shifting here? No. The curve is neither shifting to the right nor shifting to the left. What is happening is the new point that you have basically plotted now, or the new point that you are looking at now, is again falling on the line itself. And because you are just shifting from this point to this point, again, rather than using the term shifting because you'll get confused, because the point is simply moving on the line, I will refer to this as movement along the demand curve. Is the logic okay? It is referred to as movement along the demand curve. Can there be vice versa? Of course, yes. Imagine the price will go down. Imagine, right, the price will go down, right, that is from 40 rupees to 30 rupees. Now, as a result of this decrease in the price, what do you think will happen to the demand? Demand should also change. If the price goes down, demand should go up. Now, where does this 30 rupee and 160 unit will fall? It will again fall on the demand curve. It will basically fall again on the demand curve. And this movement from L to M or L to N, this movement is referred to as movement along the demand curve. This movement is referred to as movement along the demand curve. Any difficulty, please do let me know. How do we get the line? Already the demand schedule is there with the company. The company has drawn the line. You don't draw it. It's not your duty and you don't have to do that research. The company has already drawn the line. So what if the price will shift from 40 to 45? Right? Do that. You will again get one more point somewhere here. I hope you understand. That is the reason this movement, because it is happening on the line, it is called as movement along the curve. It is referred to as movement along the curve. Whereas in the other case, the point will keep on shifting. It will either shift it to the right or shift it to the left. But here, the point will move up along the curve or move down along the curve only. That is simply like simple terms. Whenever you change the price, the demand will change. But whatever could be the new price and new demand, it will fall on the line itself. It will always fall on this line. And because it will always fall on the line, this is called as movement along the curve. So one is shift of the curve. Second one is movement along the curve. Now, simple question to you. When you're observing a movement along the curve, is your income changing? Did we discuss any change in the income causing movement? Did we discuss price of the related goods causing the movement? Absolutely no. What is causing the movement here? Right, the movement is caused by the change in the prices. Is the logic okay? The movement is always caused by the change in the prices. So remember this, whenever the price of the product changes, movement along the curve. And whenever any other factor changes, either increases, decreases, doesn't matter. Right, whenever any other factor changes, you will observe a shift in the curve. You'll observe a shift in the curve. Done? Right, so this is the discussion related to shift as well as movement. Now, related to these concepts, remember two more sets of words. Whenever you talk about movement along the curve, you use the terms such as contraction and expansion. I repeat, whenever you talk about movement along the curve, you talk about expansion and contraction. Right, sir, what do you mean by this? Let me put it in a statement. Let me put it in a statement. If the price of the product expands from 30 rupees to 40 rupees, if the price of the product expands from 30 rupees to 40 rupees, the demand will contract from 160 units to 140 units. Some of you might be asking, sir, why are we using these kind of terms? Because you should understand what is actually causing the change in the demand in the market. I hope you understand this. You should be able to understand what is actually causing the change in the demand in the market. Is it the price? Is it the income? What is actually causing it? So whenever you come across a term, this has expanded, this has contracted, etc., it is always in the context of price. Whereas when you talk about shift of the curve, whenever you talk shift of the curve, you use the term increase and decrease. You use the term increase and decrease. For example, in this table that I've used here, if the price of the product remains the same, but your income changes from or increases from 100 rupees to 120 rupees, then your demand will increase. And if your income decreases from 100 rupees to 80 rupees, then the demand will decrease. Is it okay? Right. So this is the basic idea of the increase, decrease, contraction, expansion, movement, and shift. Right. And again, you don't have to do a lot of studies. It's simple. It's simple. Why? Sir, how do I remember it? It's very, very difficult for me. How do I remember it? All of you, at least, can you remember? Along the y-axis, you will write price. This is a simple trick. This is a very simple trick. Along the y-axis, you will write price, but you'll have to remember your coordinate geometry. Along x-axis, you'll write quantity. Now tell me if this point is here or the line is like this, and you say shift of the curve, right? Either the line has to move like this or has to shift like this. Simple question: is the price changing? Is the price changing? Price is not changing. Price is remaining same. But other factors, anything else, is leading to a shift in the curve. Right? So this is the basic idea of a shift as well as the movement along the curve. What kind of questions can be asked? We'll understand. Don't worry. Let me finish the chapter. I'll show you previous year questions. Okay. Now let's start. One more classification of goods. These are certain important classifications. Understand it. We'll go one by one. First classification is based on the income. First classification is based on income. In fact, in the first class, I told you there's a good called as a Giffen good and Veblen good. Giffen and Veblen. Let's try and understand all those concepts now. First classification based on income: normal and inferior goods. Now, what is a normal good? whenever income of the person changes, please understand this, it is based on income. Whenever income of the person changes, as a result of this change in the income, the demand for certain commodities in the market will also change. With the change in the income, demand will also change. But please understand, whenever the demand and income are directly proportional like this, are directly related like this, these are called as normal goods. These are referred to as normal goods. And whenever income and demand are inversely related, these are called as inferior goods. Any difficulty in understanding directly related and inversely related? Directly means if the income goes up, the demand also goes up. Simple, directly related. And if income goes down, demand also goes down. Repeat. That's what I'm doing, my dear. Understand this. Whenever the income and demand are directly related, these are referred to as normal goods. What do you mean by directly related? Income goes up, demand goes up. Income goes down, demand also goes down. Any difficulty in understanding the term directly related? Any difficulty? Second, whenever income and demand are inversely related. Inversely related means what? Income goes up, demand goes down, and income goes down, demand goes up. This is inversely related. So when directly related, normal goods. When inversely related, inferior goods. What are the examples? Have a look at this. Imagine all of us, understand this carefully. Imagine all of us start earning more and more income. Simple, right? It's simple to understand. Imagine all of us start earning more and more income. Don't you think the demand for cars will increase in the market? Let me know if you disagree. Don't you think the demand for TVs, ACs, refrigerators, etc. will start increasing in the market? So what is happening here? What is happening here? With the rise in the income, with the increase in the income, demand for these commodities is also increasing. Directly related, can I call this as normal goods? Can I call this as normal goods? And sir, what happens if the income falls? Of course, just apply your logic. During the pandemic, that is, let's say in 2020, 21, 22, etc., when people were losing their jobs, means what? Their incomes were going down. When incomes went down, do you think people will start purchasing more of cars? Just think of it, right? Apply your basic understanding, you'll realize it. When people are losing jobs, they'll start purchasing more and more ACs. Of course, no. So when the income goes up, the demand for these commodities also goes up. And when income goes down, demand also goes down. So whenever this kind of a direct correlation you find, this is called as a normal good. And examples I've written here. Now there is one more statement. I'll cover this. I'll just cover this. Don't worry. I'll cover this. The idea of income elasticity. I'll cover it. Just give me some time. I'll cover it. Today's class only. So any problem with the normal goods? Next one is inferior goods. Inferior goods are those set of goods where with the change in the income, demand changes, but in opposite direction. Opposite direction, not in the same direction. Opposite direction. What is this opposite direction? Imagine people will start losing jobs. Okay, people will start losing jobs. Right? People are removed from the companies, etc., etc. Now, simple question: when people will start losing jobs, don't you think because they do not have sufficient money now, or they will not be earning salaries monthly, they will stop consuming certain goods and they'll start consuming certain goods? Just apply common sense. If a person will lose the job, will he keep on purchasing, let's say, costly products? Does he continue to consume costly products? Of course, no. In such cases, they will start consuming certain type of goods. So when the income is going down, demand is going up. When the income is going down, demand is going up. And when income goes up, demand will go down. Right? Any example of this? Public transportation. Public transportation. And some of the cereals such as Jowar and Bajra. Jowar and Bajra. Right? Some of the very, very inferior products. Now have a look at this. Imagine your salary goes up from 1 lakh rupees to 2 lakh, 2 lakh rupees to 4 lakh, etc., etc. Will you purchase your new car? Will you purchase a car or not? Of course, yes. You'll shift from a public transportation. That is, until now you're traveling in a metro, you're traveling in a public bus, etc. Now, rather than using metro because you have sufficient money, your income has gone up. Will you not start using a car? Now, if you're going to use the car, don't you think the demand for the public transportation automatically will go down? Any difficulty in this? Please do let me know. And the same person, imagine we lose the job. Income will go down. Now, will they continue to consume car? Of course, no. They're worried about their future. They're worried about, let's say, what will happen in the next month, etc. So, as a result of this, they'll simply shift to public transportation. Again, I'll repeat it. Right? Some of you are worried. Right? Some of you are worried. Understand the example, my dear. Don't start typing. Understand what I'm saying. Point number one: income and demand are negatively related. Negatively related means what? Right? Income goes up, demand goes down, and income goes down, demand goes up. At least is this okay with you? Right? I'm explaining and you're typing. Right? Understand it. First, income and demand will move in opposite direction. I am saying if you start earning more salary, you will not travel by bus. You will purchase a car. Now, if you purchase a car, what will happen to the demand for public transportation? The demand for public transportation automatically will go down. Is it not the same relation that I'm talking here? Is it not the same relation? Income has gone up, demand for public transportation has gone down. Public transportation is an inferior good. Sir, what will happen if I apply the opposite of this? Simple. You will lose a job. Again, just a hypothetical situation. You will lose a job. Your income has gone down. Will you keep on traveling by car? Some of you say, yes, sir, I will do that. From where will you have money? Right? From where do you get the money? Your income has stopped. So what will you do? Your income has gone down. Now again, you'll jump back to the public transportation. So what has happened to the demand for public transportation? Again has gone up. So income and demand are inversely related. Rather than using the term inversely related, they can also say negatively related. Any problem in understanding the term negative relation? Let me know. Any problem in understanding the term negative relation? Negative means, right, opposite movement. Positive means movement in the same direction. Right? So in case of normal goods, positively related or directly related. In case of inferior goods, inversely related or negatively related. Right? Cereals are nothing but food grains. Cereals are nothing but food grains. Imagine you start earning 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees, 4 lakh rupees per month. You will start consuming more and more of basmati rice. You'll start consuming more and more of wheat, etc. Not Jowar and Bajra. Right? That is basically the idea of inferior goods. Next one. Giffen and Veblen goods. The idea of a Giffen good and idea of a Veblen good. Now, please remember this. Neither Giffen nor Veblen, they do not follow the concept of law of demand. They do not follow it. Why? Let me explain. But let me start with the definition here. Have patience. Listen to what I say first. Listen to what I say first. Giffen and Veblen, in both the cases, you will see that price and demand are directly related. I hope you understand this. In both Giffen and Veblen, you will observe that the price and the demand both are directly related, positively related. What is the meaning of it? Price goes up, demand goes up. And when the price goes down, demand also goes down. First point. Point number 2. Don't you think this is opposite to what is the law of demand? Is it okay? This is opposite to what does the law of demand state? Because the law of demand states price and demand should move in opposite direction, not in the same direction. Point number 2. Point number 3. Let me start with Veblen Good. Example of a Veblen Good are luxury products. Example of a Veblen Good are luxury products. And please understand this, not just any luxury products, very, very costly. I'll write a term here, high-end luxury products. High-end luxury products. So any example of a high-end luxury products? High-end luxury products such as very, very costly real estate land, right? Very high quality diamond, very high quality jewelry, super luxury cars, yacht, etc. I hope you understand, not just the one which are purchased by the rich, but the ones which are purchased by very, very ultra rich people, right? All of these products which we can think of purchasing, but we do not have sufficient resources to purchase it. So have a look at this, high-end luxury products, real estate, not just any real estate, high-end real estate, but very, very costly real estate, diamonds, very, very high carat diamonds, etc. Luxury cars, Rolls Royce, etc. Now, what is the side of a Veblen Good? Understand this carefully in the context of Veblen Goods, because these are very, very costly products and these will not be purchased by everybody in the market. There's a very limited number of buyers who will continue to demand them more when the prices will go up. I will repeat the statement. Again, focus on Veblen. Right? I don't understand why do you not listen to me? Did I start discussing Giffen? I said, have patience, I'll discuss Giffen. And I clearly stated, let me start with Veblen. But even then, sir, example of Giffen. Giffen. What is Giffen? Focus on what I'm discussing, my dear. Veblen, high-end luxury products. Why the demand is positively related to the price here? Simple. These are very, very costly products. Not everyone will have resources to purchase them. Very few people in the market will have the money to purchase it. But why the demand will go up with a change in the price? Simple. When the price of a luxury car will go up, people who have money want to display it. I hope you understand this. Those people who have money, they want to show to the rest of the world that they have a lot of money. Now imagine you have, let's say, thousands of crores of rupees. Imagine in your bank account, thousands of crores of rupees is there. And I'll tell you, this particular bottle has been made with a diamond. It has been made with a diamond. It has been made here and here, etc., etc. Price of the bottle is 1 crore rupees. The 1 crore rupees is not at all a matter for you. I hope you understand. It's not at all a matter because you have thousands of crores of rupees lying around like this. So what will happen to the demand for such bottles? The demand for these bottles will automatically go up. Does it make sense or not? Let me know. Does it make sense to you or not? They will purchase it because they know that people in the market, everybody will not be able to have that money. I have it and I can afford it. So higher the price, I will purchase and I'll showcase it. How many of you seen very, very super luxurious cars running in India? They will give a very, very small amount of mileage. But do you think the owner of the car is worried about mileage there? Right? So that is the basic idea for Veblen Good. And some of you ask, sir, why is that when the price will go down, the demand will go down? Because now they are not worried about such products. Right? If the prices will start dropping, they'll simply say, Arey, this is cheap then. Earlier it was 1.2 crore. It was 3.5 crore rupees. Now the prices have come down. It is not very, let's say, very luxurious. So I will reduce the demand. So that is the basic idea for Veblen Good. Now come to the first point, Giffen Good. Focus on the discussion first. Giffen goods are purchased and consumed by very poor people. These are purchased and consumed by very, very poor people. Very poor people. Now don't ask me what is the difference between Giffen and Veblen. Here itself you should understand it. Right? One is a very luxurious product and the second one purchased by very, very poor houses. Now, first point, that is the first point. These are consumed and purchased and consumed by very poor households. Second point, whenever the prices of the Giffen goods will go up, the demand will also go up. So how? How is that possible? You are saying it's a poor house, and second, you are saying when the price will go up, the demand will also go up. How is that possible? Let me give you a very, very simple example. Follow the explanation. Imagine here is a person, and the person is purchasing, let's say, rice. The person is also purchasing dal. Now, because the person is very poor, don't you think the kind of rice the person is actually purchasing is the lowest quality in the market? Is the logic okay? Right? Because the person is very poor already, the kind of rice that he is able to or she is able to purchase, it's already very, very inferior product, very, very poor quality. Now, let's say hypothetically, the price of rice goes up. Let's say the price of rice goes up. Now, you tell me, can the person replace the rice with another quality of rice? Is it possible? Just think of it. Is it possible that someone will say, sir, let them substitute it? In that case, you are missing the point. The person is very, very poor first. And I said because the person is very poor, the kind of rice that the person is already consuming, it's very, very inferior product. So can the person replace this rice with any other rice? Not possible because the substitute is costly. Substitute already is costly. Point number 2. Now can the person continue to consume more dal or the same quantity of dal? Right? Some of you simply say, sir, let them eat more dal. Possible. Think of it. Is it possible that when the price of rice has gone up, will we be able to purchase more dal here? Of course no. Forget about more dal. Will we be able to purchase same quantity of dal? That also doesn't work out. Why? Poor house. Follow that. It's a very, very poor house. So what the person will do, what the person generally does is, because they will not be able to consume the same quantity of dal, but they need some amount of food. They need a minimum amount of food just to stay alive. What they do is, despite the price of rice going up, they will purchase a little bit more of rice. Is it okay or not? Right? I'll tell you why they're purchasing more rice. Follow this carefully. Because they're not able to purchase the same quantity of dal, or even more dal is not feasible now. Money is not there. So what they will do? Yes, the price of rice has gone up, but I need some amount of rice to stay alive. I need some amount of rice to stay alive. My family members require rice. I cannot afford dal. So rather than purchasing more of dal, what I will do? I will purchase more of rice. Any difficulty in understanding this? Do let me know. Any difficulty? So any example of a Giffen good? Very, very inferior products. Very much inferior products. The inferior goods such as jowar and bajra, right? The inferior products, very inferior products are referred as Giffen good. Any difficulty in this? Explain again. I'll explain it again. Follow this. Follow this. One, this is a very poor house, which means they do not have sufficient amount of money. That should be very clear to you. Point number 2, imagine they're consuming rice and dal. and the rice is obviously very inferior quality because it's a poorhouse. So when the price of rice goes up, they will not be able to purchase the same quantity of dal because the the rice price has actually gone up. So what the house will do? Because they require certain nourishment, right? They need to remain alive. I hope you understand this. They need to remain alive. What they do is, even though the price of rice has gone up, they will purchase more of rice, right? They will not be able to offer the same quantity of dal now. They will increase the quantity of rice, right? So the price of rice has gone up, but the demand for the rice also has gone up. So whenever the price and demand are directly proportional like this, right? That is given. That is given. Why can't they buy more dal? My dear, you tell me. It simply means you are divide of reality. When you talk about rice and dal, which is more costly? There's a question, right? Why can't they purchase more of a dal between rice and dal, which is more costly? If rice cost is like 10 rupees a kg, 20 rupees a kg, dal will cost you 80, 90, 100. And when the price of rice goes up, it's a poor house. You want them to purchase more dal. Like how? How can you justify that? Right? Now, what about dal price? Dal price is not changing. I'm talking about only about rice. I'm talking about only about rice. Don't worry about dal. Rice price is changing. Okay? Okay. So this is basically the idea of a given good. So understand the logic here. Price and demand positively related. Positive, same direction. But when this is an inferior good, it is a given. And when it is a very, very costly good, very, very luxurious product, it is called as Veblen. Right? This is basically the idea of a given and Veblen. Next, merit and demerit. Right? The idea of a merit and demerit. Understand this concept, merit and demerit. Whenever you consume certain product and you get the benefit from the product, is the logic okay? Whenever you consume the product, you get the benefit. Society also gets the benefit. This is called as a merit. I'll give you example. Have patience first. Right? So you consume, you get the benefit. Society or the economy also gets the benefit. Merit. When you purchase, right? When you purchase and consume a product, you are affected by it, and other people surrounding you are also affected by it. That is called as a demerit. Right? Understand the definition first. I'll give you examples. Example 1. If you get very good quality education, if you're getting very good quality education, is it not good for you? Simple. Is it not good for you? Answer is yes. And is it just good for you? Absolutely no. Will your family get the benefit of it? That is, you will get a good job, you will get good salary, you will provide for your family. Will the economy, society get the benefit of it? Of course, yes. You are contributing to the growth of the economy. So understand the logic here. You are consuming, you are benefiting, and the society is also benefiting. That is a merit good. That is a merit good. So examples of merit goods, right? Let's say education, healthcare sector, nutritious food. Examples, right? So these are merit goods. What about demerit goods? I'll give a very simple example. Tobacco products. Tobacco products, alcoholic products. Now there's a term called as externality. I'll come to that. Have patience. What is going to happen here? Imagine, again, imagine. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Imagine. After the class is over, right? I will drink a lot of alcohol. I'll take the car, go on the road. Right now, point number 1. Because I've consumed alcohol, is it good for me? How many of you think consuming alcohol is good for me? Again, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about myself. Is alcohol good for me? Of course, no, not good. Now, when I've consumed alcohol, I'll take the car, go on the road. Is it good for people around me? Right? Is it good for, let's say, other vehicles on the road? Is it good for pedestrians, etc.? Of course, no. So neither am I getting the benefit, or anybody else surrounding me is going to get the benefit of it. In fact, they will be harmed by it. Such kind of goods are referred to as demerit goods. Such kind of goods are referred to as demerit goods. Now, there's a term called as externality here. Understand this. There's a term called as externality. Let me explain this. Follow this carefully. Externality means it is talking about two events. Point number 1. It is talking about two events which are separate, but they are not related. Right? Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Externality. Whenever you talk about externality, you're talking about two things. Both of them are not related, but because one is happening, it will have an impact on the another. I'll repeat it again. Right? Because it is happening, it will have an impact on the another. Right? This is called as an externality. Let me give you current affairs example. Tell me, is it externality or not? Because Russia has started a war against Ukraine. Because Russia has started a war against Ukraine, will it have an impact on India? Simple yes or no question. Will it have an impact on India? Answer is yes. Do not have any doubt regarding this. Please do not have any doubt. Answer is simply yes. So have a look at this. These are the two events. Right? Russia attacking Ukraine, one event. Indian economy is another event. Don't you think both are generally unrelated? India is not promoting war. India is not involved in the war. India is neither supporting any of the two parties. India has a neutral stance. We are staying away. We are no way related. But because of this event, don't you think the Indian economy will be affected? Can I call this as an externality or a spillover? Can I call this as an externality or a spillover? That is the basic idea here. Right? And again, understand this. Externality or a spillover effect can be positive as well as negative. I hope you understand. The externality can be positive or it can be negative also. The example that I'm giving here, Russia, Ukraine, and Indian economy, this is an example of a negative spillover or a negative externality. Let me give you another example for positive. Imagine USA and UK. The growth in the USA and UK starts at a very high pace. Both of these economies are growing at a very, very good pace. In fact, it is not happening. They're expecting a negative impact. But imagine, USA economy starts growing at a very fast pace. European economy starts growing at a very, very fast pace. Now, will it have an impact on Indian economy? Think of it. Let's see. How many of you are reading newspaper? Will it have an impact on Indian economy? Of course, yes. How, sir? Indian economy is connected to both of them. We export a lot of goods and services. Now, if the growth in both of these economies is very high, don't you think India's exports will also increase? This is positive. This is positive. So the idea of a spillover effect, right, or an externality means there are two events, not related. There are two events. But when one event will happen, the impact of this event will be there on the second event. This is called as an externality or a spillover. And second point here is externality or spillover can be positive, can be negative as well. On whatever Russia-Ukraine war will impact on India, my dear, crude oil prices have gone up. What do you think one of the reasons is? Because of higher crude prices. Russia and Ukraine. The wheat prices in the international market, supply of wheat in the international market has gone up. The cost of transportation of the containers has gone up. And all of these are affecting Indian economy. right? And those who are asking me this question, it simply means you're not reading newspapers. It simply means you're not even worried about what is happening. You're not watching YouTube videos also, you're not reading newspaper also. Now question is, from where will you get the current affairs then? Okay, right? So again, just a simple idea. Can you extrapolate it? Of course, yes, you can connect it to so many things. Okay, so merit goods and demerit goods. Any difficulty in understanding this? Right? Any difficulty in understanding this? Right? Merit and demerit. And again, please understand, repeat externality. Externality means there are two events. When one event will happen, the impact of this event will be felt on the second event. That is called as an externality. Okay. So, but India is buying crude from Russia. My dear, how much of the crude do you think we have bought from Russia? Let me know. Let me know. How much of the crude do you think we have brought from Russia? Point one. And you think overall trade that we're doing, it's only crude. Is it only crude? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Fertilizer prices have increased. Crude oil prices that we are purchasing overall has increased. We have got the benefit, no doubt. From Russia, again, it's a very, very small amount of benefit. I believe around $3 billion. Around $3 billion worth of benefit we have got. But what about other crude oil? Right? What about all the other imports that we have done? What about steel? What about freight and transportation? Everything has gone up. Okay. Next one. Based on the producer, public good and private good. Public good and private good. Now, what is this public good and what is the private good? Let me start with a very simple example. Imagine you go to market, purchase a car. You go to the market, you pay money and you purchase a car. Who has the right to use the car? Point number one. Who has the right to use the car? Only you. Right? Only you. Second, if you do not pay the money, do you think they will give you the car? Right? If you don't pay the money for the car, do you think they will give you the car? No, they will not hand over the car to you. So point number one, whenever you talk about private goods, you need to pay money for private goods. And the term that they use is excludable. Excludable simply means if you don't pay, you can be excluded. You will not be allowed to use the product. Excludability. Second one is a rival. Imagine there are 10 cars in the market. In the market, there are 10 cars. You will go purchase one car. Now tell me how many cars are there in the market? 9 cars will be there in the market. Now can I put it in a different way? You purchasing a car has reduced the availability of cars in the market. I will repeat it again, understand this carefully. You purchasing a car has reduced the availability of cars in the market. This is called as rival. Any difficulty, please do let me know right now. Excludability means you pay for it, only then you will get access to it. If you don't pay for it, you will not be given access. You cannot consume the product. Rival means when you purchase this particular car. Consumption means when you purchase this particular car, the availability of it is reduced in the market. Right? The purchasing of this car will prevent, right, basically prevents from others using this car because the availability of the product in the market has come down. Right? What is the example here? Private products. What is the example? Anything that you can see left and right in your room. The book that you have purchased, TV, car, washing machine, fan, AC, mobile, right, or the laptop, all these are examples of private goods. All of these are examples of private goods. Second, public goods. Right? What is the meaning of public goods? These are non-excludable and non-rival. I'll give you examples, have patience. These are non-excludable. Non-excludable means what? The government which is providing them. Let's take a simple example. Imagine government is providing certain good to you. Government will provide it, either good or a service, but doesn't charge you. If you don't pay money, government will not exclude you. Absolutely no. Non-excludable. Example of this, defense. Defense. All of us are given defense. Right? Any issue with this? All of us are given defense. Given defense means what? Our soldiers are standing at the border protecting all of us. But you think government will charge money for us? Don't say tax. Tax is not a charge. I hope you understand. Tax is your contribution. You will have to compulsorily pay taxes. That is the difference. Now some of you say, but sir, I'm giving tax. How can you justify it? Simple example. Imagine here is person A and B. A has paid tax. B has not paid a tax. Do you think government will provide defense only to A? I hope you understand now. Do you think government will provide defense, that is protection from, let's say, Chinese attack, only to A? Of course, no. It will extend the defense services to both of them. I'll give you one more example. A street light. A street light. Right? Imagine there is a road and in the road there is a light. Street light. Right? Do you think government is providing street light only for a specific consumer there? Right? Because you have paid tax, only you can walk on that road. Only you can stand below that particular light. Absolutely no. Whether you have paid the tax or not paid the tax doesn't matter. The street light, the services is available for everyone to consume. So it is non-excludable. Second, it is not rival. It is a non-rival as well. What do you mean by non-rival here? Imagine you are consuming defense services. That is, you're getting defense, right? Or you're basically using the defense services. Does it mean that it is not available for others? I hope you understand. Does it mean that it is not available for any other citizen in India? Of course, no. It is available to everyone in the Indian system. So argument is simple here. Whenever you talk about public goods, these are non-excludable. That is, you do not have to pay. Government or anybody else, I'll give you examples. Anybody else will provide it to you. Right? They will not charge you. Second, these are non-rival, meaning what? You can continue to consume it. You are consuming it. Doesn't mean that it is not available for others. It is available to everyone. Right? Whereas private goods are excludable as well as rival. Now, what are the examples for public goods? Street light. Street light, again, normal street. Don't say, sir, in my locality street is there, etc. Right? Let's say normal street and not, let's say, fenced areas. So normal street, government has established or set up a light here. Anybody can use it. Right? Defense, law and order, etc. What about the private goods? Anything that you can see right now. Laptop, mobile phone, AC, TV, refrigerator, right? The clothes you are wearing, etc., etc., etc. All of them are private goods. Now, some of you have started asking, but sir, in this case, that will happen. In this case, it will happen. Let me give you, right, one more classification here. Let me give you one more classification. Right? That is on one side, I'll write excludable, non-excludable, and the second, rival, non-rival. Let's start. Whenever it is excludable and rival, these are called as private goods. Any difficulty in private goods? Excludable as well as rival. Whenever these are non-excludable and non-rival, these are called as public goods. Right? These are referred to as public goods. In fact, when you read for optionals, public goods are further divided. I'm telling you that only. Right? Public goods, for example, defense, non-rival, non-excludable. But you will see that government will not always provide public goods. I hope you understand this. Government will not always provide public goods. That is, government will not provide everything to you free of cost. Government will also provide certain goods or services where they will charge. Is it okay? Where they will charge. right? And remember this, the term public doesn't mean government here. Is the logic okay? The term public here doesn't mean government. Do not equate it to is equal to government. No, any good that is available for which you do not have to pay money and you consume it, and basically it will not reduce the availability to others, it is called as a public good. But generally, understand this, generally what we have observed is it is only the government which provides the public goods. Private sector is not worried about it. You'll ask me, sir, why does private sector does not provide public goods? Private sector by default works for profit. And because they're working for profit, what will happen? Because the charges are not imposed here, they will not come into public goods. Now, let me focus on common goods as well as club goods. Let me focus on common goods and the club goods. What is a common good? Example, a book in the public library. A book in the public library. Underline the term public library here. Right, first and foremost, all of us in public libraries, the ones which are set up by the government. Now, do you have to pay money to enter into public libraries? I hope you understand. Do you need to pay money to enter into public libraries? Of course, no. Anybody can enter. You can get into the public library. I can go to the public library. Anybody can go to public library. So, can I simply say this is non-excludable? This is non-excludable. But let's say that you will also go to public library. I will also come to public library. There is only one newspaper or only one book. Is it okay? There is only one newspaper or only one book. You have taken the book now, or you have taken the newspaper and you have started reading the newspaper. Tell me, very simple question. Because you are holding the book, you are using the services of the book. Is it available to me now? Think of it. It's a very simple idea. Is it available to me? Absolutely no. You are reading newspaper. Is it available to me? No. Can I call this as rival now? Is it okay? Can I call this as rival now? Right? So the newspapers, the books, etc. that are there in the public libraries, these are rival, because if you are using it, it will reduce the availability of this to somebody else. Right? So that is the idea of a common goods. Let me go to the next one. Club goods. Idea of a club goods. First one, take the example here, electricity. Is it excludable? Electricity. Is it excludable or not? That is, if you are ready to pay for this, I will supply electricity to you. If you don't pay, I will not supply electricity. So chargeable. Right? Can you exclude people from consuming electricity? Of course, yes. So is it excludable? Yes. But have a look at this non-rival. What does the non-rivality mean here? If your house is getting electricity connection, that doesn't mean that others will not be allowed to consume electricity. Is the logic okay here? Right? Or else I'll give you one more example. Broadcasting. Broadcasting. For example, all of you are watching, let's say, at least some of you are watching WPL, right? Women's Premier League. After that, IPL will come. After that, Kabaddi League will come. And somewhere in between, football or soccer will also come. Right? What is the idea here? You'll have to pay money. Right? Very simple. You'll have to pay money to get access to all these, right? Let's say sporting events. Excludability. But because you're watching, let's say, right, WPL, does it mean it's not available for others? Does it reduce availability of this match to others? Of course, no. Right? So the idea is these are non-rival. Right? Don't worry about RCB, either men or women. Right? It's the same thing. Right? Don't worry about RCB group or RCB team here. So idea is simple here. Excludable, yes. Non-rival, yes. These are called as club goods. Any difficulty? Now do not understand this. Do not try to do a permutation combinations of that good, this good. You know what is happening in each of the goods. Simple. Look at the good or a service. Do you have to pay money? If yes, put it under excludable. But if you are using it and others are also using it, right, put it under non-rival, otherwise put it under rival. Done. So this is basically the classification of good. Okay. Electricity, if I get it, then others we get less. How, my dear? At the same point of time. Right now you have electricity connection in your home. Do I have electricity connection in the studio? Are we consuming the electricity both at the same point of time or not? It's the same product. Electricity is the same product. Are we consuming it at the same point of time or not? And that's a basic idea. Again, don't get into all of it. Just understand the basics and go forward. But they're excludable because electricity is needed to watch the sports or ticket is needed. When did I say electricity is non-excludable? My goodness. When did I say electricity is non-excludable? Can you see the table at least? Have I written electricity under excludable or not? And basically, it means you're not listening to what I'm discussing. Excludable meaning. Excludable simply means people can be excluded. People can be left out if they don't pay for it. Simple. Okay, next one is intermediate goods and final goods. Next one is, right, intermediate goods and final goods. So I'm not talking about electricity, I'm talking about watching sports on TV. Example. My dear, I said, if you want to watch a sport, you are watching. Along with you, I'm also watching. I'm not talking about excludability feature here. I'm talking about rivality. What do you mean by rival? Rival means you are watching. It means I cannot watch. Can you understand it? Rival means you are watching. I cannot watch. The availability of sports viewing has gone down. Does it happen? Does it happen? You are also watching it. I'm also watching it. How can you say it is rival? Okay. Next one is intermediate and final goods. Intermediate and final. Right? Intermediate simply means this. You're purchasing something to sell. Is the logic okay? Just apply this logic. You're purchasing something not for consumption. Consumption means usage. You're purchasing something to sell it in the market. Right? That product is called as intermediary product. Let me ask you a very simple question now. To manufacture this bottle, I purchased steel. Is it intermediary product? Is the logic okay? To manufacture this bottle, I purchased steel. Intermediate product? Of course, yes. I purchased plastic. Intermediate product? Again, the answer is yes. Right? So whenever you purchase something in the market and you want to sell it, right, that is called as, or you want to sell something using it, it is called as intermediate product. Second one, final product. You'll purchase something for usage, not for selling, for usage. That is basically the idea of a final product. Example, you will purchase car. Right, tell me, you have purchased car? Of course, yes. Someone will say, sir, no, sir, I have not purchased car. Have you purchased a mobile phone? You have purchased a TV, washing machine, you have purchased a biscuit, right, a cookie, soft drink, etc. For what purposes? For consumption purposes, for usage purposes. Right, that is basically the concept of final goods. Is it okay? Is the logic okay here? Intermediary, you're purchasing not for usage. You want to sell it to somebody else. right? These are used as inputs. I repeat, these are used as inputs, right? Certain inputs are used, another product is purchased, and it is sold in the market. So what you have purchased is called as intermediary good. And second, a final good. Whatever you purchase, you use it for consumption, it is called as final good. Now I can see many of you are doing permutation and combination. My suggestion, stop, because a product itself cannot decide whether it is an intermediary or final. I hope you understand. I'll give you an example. Have patience. A product itself, looking at it, you cannot decide whether it is an intermediary or final. It depends on who is using it, who is actually using it. For example, milk. Early morning, I'm talking about milk here. Have a look at this. If milk is purchased by you, right? If milk is purchased by you, tell me, are you purchasing milk for selling something or for consuming? I hope you understand. It's for consumption. Can I call this as a final good here? Can I refer to this as a final good? But the same milk will be purchased by, let's say, a restaurant, a hotel. A restaurant or a hotel, you tell me. Do you think the owner of the restaurant is purchasing milk for consumption? For drinking? Right? Absolutely no. They will purchase it, they will produce something, sell it to you, you will pay for it. Can I call the same milk as an intermediary here? As an intermediary. So that's the reason, whatever you're doing, stop it. You're simply wasting your time. Why? A product itself cannot determine whether it is a final or intermediary. Where it is used, that will determine whether it is a final or intermediary. Done? So intermediary good and final good. Next one, substitute and complementary. I've discussed substitute and complementary in the first class. Do you remember it or not? I've discussed a substitute and complementary in the first class itself. Right? Substitute means what? Set of goods which are consumed individually, not combination, individually. And complementary, these are set of goods which are consumed in combination. Next is the concept of elasticity. But before that, any question? Electricity saving is done, then why that saved electricity can be shifted to other house? That why electricity is. My dear, you're confused about the term excludability. First and foremost, you are confused. Understand it. Excludability means you'll have to pay money. Is the logic okay? You'll have to pay money. If you do not pay money, they will not give you the product. Now, electricity, is it extable or not? Right? If you don't trust me, just ask your parents, who are every month scolding everybody in the house because the electricity bill has gone down, gone up, not down, gone up, because summer has started now. Everybody starts using ACs, fans, etc., etc. So excludability, absolutely yes. If you don't pay electricity bill, they will not give it to you. Right? Rivalry means what? You are consuming the product at the same point of time, or others are also consuming the same product or not. I hope you understand this. You are consuming the product at the same point of time. Is anybody else consuming the same product? I'll give you a simple example. Public road. Look at the name itself. Public road. Now tell me, if you're traveling in a car, you have a car, you're riding the car on a public road. At the same point of time, can I also drive the car beside you? I hope you understand. It's a public road, by the way. Right? You're driving a car. Can I also bring my car and drive beside you? Of course, assuming there are two lanes. Don't say, sir, what if only one lane is there? Right, etc., etc. What is the idea here? Is it rival? Is a public road rival product here? No, it's not rival. It's non-rival because you're using it. I'm also using it. Right? So idea is simple here. Whenever there is a non-rival, it simply means at the same point of time, multiple people can consume. You are consuming doesn't mean its availability has gone down. Okay. So this is the idea of a right, this idea of a non-rival rival. Okay, let's continue. Elasticities. Idea of elasticities. Now, first and foremost, right, let me tell you the idea of elasticity. What is this idea of elasticity? Elasticity simply means measurement of change. I'll repeat it. Right, follow this carefully. Elasticity means it is measuring a change. So what is the change? What is the change being measured here? Simple. Tell me, if price changes as a result of this, demand will change or not? Of course, we have discussed certain exceptions are there. Don't apply it. Right? Just understand normal or basically a norm. If price changes, demand will change. We will measure how much is the price changing. As a result of this, how much is the demand changing? That measurement is nothing but elasticity. Let me ask you one more question. If price of tea changes, will the demand for coffee change? Simple. If the price of tea changes, will the demand for coffee change? Of course, yes. We are measuring how much is the change. Right? If income of the person changes, will the demand in the market change? Again, answer is yes. We have discussed all of it. We are applying it now. We are measuring that change. That is called as elasticity. Is it okay? What is elasticity? I'll define it again. Elasticity measures changes. We are measuring changes that are taking place as a result of change in one more factor. For example, if factors such as income changes, price changes, or price of the related goods changes, as a result of this, how much is the change in the demand? That measurement is called as elasticity. Now, although I'm talking in the context of demand here, please understand, we can measure the change from the demand side as well as supply side. We can measure this particular change from the demand as well as supply. So that's the reason under elasticity, there are four types. Price elasticity of a demand, income elasticity of a demand, cross elasticity of a demand, and the fourth one is price elasticity of supply. Four types are there. Let's go one by one. But before explaining this, I'll give you one example. I'll show you a calculation. Do you need to by heart the calculation? Absolutely no. Do not by heart. Do not waste your time in mugging up the calculation. Not necessary. But suddenly I'll show you this calculation and the outcome. Some of you get confused. Only for that purpose, let me show you one calculation here. And again, one calculation to understand what is zero, what is negative, what is positive, more than sufficient. Not every time you require calculation. Let's say I'll show you calculation regarding price elasticity of a demand. What is price elasticity of a demand? PD is equal to, look at the formula, the change, the percentage change in the demand for good X divided by percentage change in the income of the person. I'm talking about price elasticity. Percentage change in the price of the product. Price elasticity of a demand. Let me start here. Remember the formula. Right? Otherwise, I'll write it here. Percentage change in the demand divided by percentage change in the price of the product. What do you mean by that? What do you mean the percentage change here? Let me show you one calculation. Again, do not by heart it. Do not waste your time. For all the others also, similar calculations are done. Understand it here itself. Let's say here is a product. The price of the product was 10. The price has gone up to 12 rupees. So is it always increasing? Can it decrease? Of course, yes. It can also fall down. A simple question. How much is the percentage change here? Can I simply say 20%? Simple, right? The percentage change, in fact, focus on this. I will use positive and negative. And I'll tell you where to use positive, where to use negative, etc., etc. I'll tell you focus. So the change that has been observed here is positive 20% or 20%. A simple question to you. If the price of the product has gone up like this, what should happen to demand? What should happen to demand? Should the demand also go up? Of course no. I'm talking about normal goods here. Don't worry about, right, so what if it is a Veblen good, etc., etc. Focus normally. Okay. Demand was, say, 500 units. Right? The demand in the market was 500 units. Now imagine the demand has fallen down to 450 units. Demand has fallen down. Of course, it should fall down to 450. How much is the change in the demand? Minus 10%. Minus 10%. Now focus on the next one carefully. If you look at the formula, price elasticity of a demand, in the numerator you're supposed to put change in the demand, percentage change, and in the denominator you're supposed to put change in the price. But whenever you talk about price elasticity of a demand, you will not be worried about positive and negative symbols. I repeat, whenever you talk about price elasticity of a demand, you're not concerned about positive and negative symbols. Why? Here is the argument. Simply understand this. In the price elasticity of a demand under PAD, I'm simply trying to find out if there is a change in the price, how much will be the change in the demand. Is my argument okay with all of you? Right, I'll repeat it. We are trying to simply identify to what extent the demand will change. We are not worried whether the demand is going up or going down. Absolutely no. We are simply worried if I change the price by 1%, by how much percentage the demand will change. That's it. And because you're concerned about the magnitude of the change, you're concerned about the size of the change, you will ignore positive and negative symbols. Right? Remember it. Because some of you later will say, sir, but earlier you ignored positive and negative. Now you're talking about positive and negative. Right? It's very confusing. The logic is simple. In some other types, you're concerned about in what direction they will move. I hope you understand this. In other types of elasticities, you'll be worried about what is the direction. Are they moving in the same direction or opposite direction? But in PAD, you're not worried about the direction. You're worried about the magnitude of the change. How much is the change, right? How much is the change in the demand with the change in the prices? Now substitute. Percentage change in the demand is how much? 20%. Percentage change in the price is how much? 10%. Cancel, 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 cancel. I'll simply write a PD is equal to 2. I'll simply write a PD is equal to 2. What does it mean? What does the PD is equal to 2 mean? Simple. If there is 1% change in the price of the product, the demand will change by 2%. Is it okay? Let me know. Right? What is the PD equal to 2 means? If there is a 1% change in the price, right, the demand in the market will change by 2%. Right? That is the concept of price elasticity of a demand. And always remember this, whenever you get the PD greater than 1, I repeat, right, whenever you get a PD greater than 1, the product is said to be having elastic demand. I'll repeat the statement here, understand it. Whenever you get a PD greater than 1, you will get a product which is said to be having elastic demand. Elastic means what? Right? The change in the demand is much, much higher. The change in the demand is higher. Can I give you examples? Whenever you focus on anything except essential, what is essential? Electricity, salt, petrol, diesel, food grains. Now you tell me if any other prices, any other product prices, such as perfume, right, such as let's say a car, such as any other luxury product, if the price goes up, don't you think the demand should change? Right? I hope you understand this. Right? I'll repeat it again. When the price of luxury products such as perfume goes up, don't you think the demand should change? The demand should change. And because it's a luxury product, the drop in the demand or the rise in the demand will be much, much higher than whatever is the change in the prices. But on the other hand, focus on a product such as salt, focus on food grains, focus on vegetables, focus on, let's say, fuels, etc. These are required. These are essentials. Do you think the price of the food or vegetables goes up, let's say, by 1%? Right? The price of the food grains goes up by 1%. Do you think the demand will fall down by 2%? Do you think demand will fall down by 5% or 10% for that matter? Absolutely no. Right? So understand the logic here. Don't worry about calculation. There's a mistake. I'll correct it. Don't worry. Right? I'll correct it. Some of you pointed out. I'll correct it. Don't worry. Argument is simple. Whenever the price elasticity of a demand, it is more than 1, it is said to be having, right, an elastic demand. Right? That is, the demand will change suddenly whenever there is a change in the price by even a small amount. But there are certain essential products. The prices will change, but the demand will not change by much. These are said to be having price elasticity of a demand of less than 1. That is, if the price changes by 1%, the demand is always changing, but less than 1%. The demand change is always less than 1%. Okay. So again, in terms of calculation, sir, some of you are basically telling me, sir, you have made a mistake. Yes, I'll change the calculation. Have a look at this. I'll change the calculation here. The calculation is supposed to be like this: percentage change in the demand. Demand has changed by 10%. Percentage change in the price. Price has changed by 20%. Here again, cancel. It is 1 by 2 or 0.5. It is 0.5. So argument is simple. Whenever price changes, demand should also change. But if price changes by, let's say, 1% or let's say 8%, right? I hope you understand this. If price changes by X%, demand changes by Y%. Let me put it this way. If price changes, this is the price and this is the demand. If the price changes by X% and demand changes by Y%, if the change in the demand is greater than change in the price, what will be the outcome? I hope you understand. If the Y is greater than X, right? And just to make it clear, this is Y, this is X, right? If Y is greater than X, you will have a PD greater than 1. All of you agree? If Y is greater than X, you will have greater than 1 PD. That is basically elastic demand. It is said to be having elastic demand. Any difficulty at least now? It is said to be having elastic demand, right? Why elastic? Elastic means what, my dear? Right? Do you remember high school, right? Whenever they talk about elasticity, they would simply bring a rubber in front of you, they will drag it, right? That is basically, let's say, a rubber cover like this. They will simply pull it and they'll say this is elastic, right? So argument is simple. Whenever change in the demand is greater than change in the price percentage, it is said to be having elastic demand. And if it is vice versa, X percentage is greater than Y percentage, that is again price as well as demand, then you'll get PD less than 1. That is said to be having inelastic demand. That is said to be having inelastic demand, right? For example, I've given one calculation here. Price is changing by 20%, but the demand is changing by 10%, which means the price change is very high. Demand is changing very, very small number. That is said to be having inelastic demand. Any difficulty here? And please understand this, in situations such as fuels and salt, such as petrol as well as salt, these almost have negligible inelasticity. Is it okay? These are almost near to perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic means what? Price will keep on changing, demand doesn't change. I hope you understand. Price will keep on changing, demand does not change. Demand does not change. For example, salt. Last class also we have discussed this. Price of the salt goes up. Will you reduce consumption of salt? Price of salt goes down, right? Will you reduce the consumption of salt? Again, no. Now, what is the importance of this? Simple. Whenever the products are said to be having inelastic demand, right? These are nothing but essential products. These are nothing but essential products such as food grains, right? Rice, wheat, etc. And whenever you talk about elastic demand, these are nothing but luxury products. These are nothing but luxury products. Okay, PET greater than 1, elastic demand, luxury products. PET less than 1, inelastic demand, these are essentials. And this is just a hypothetical. Don't search, you will not get the answer to that. PET is equal to 1, just for sake of understanding, they say it is unitary elastic. What is unitary elastic? 1% change in the price, 1% change in the demand. Done. Next one is income elasticity of demand. The whole thing is confusing. My dear, it is confusing because you are not following what I'm discussing. Can you follow what I'm discussing? I'm saying price changes, demand changes. And you need to calculate percentage change. If the percentage change in the demand is greater than percentage change in the price, it is elastic. If percentage change in the demand is lesser than percentage change in the price, it is inelastic. You are not able to focus on what I'm discussing, you're focused on typing. That's the reason you'll miss it. Second one is income elasticity of a demand. Right? IED, income elasticity of demand. What is income elasticity of a demand? Simple. Same formula. Only thing is now you're measuring with the change in the income. What is the change in the demand? Focus on this. Focus what I'm discussing. With the change in the income, what is the change in the demand? And please understand, now we are concerned if income goes up. If income goes up, demand, will it go up or will it go down? Follow this carefully. We are worried about direction now. Direction, positive, negative. We are worried about it. Why? I'll give a very simple example. Earlier we have discussed normal goods. Earlier we have discussed normal goods. You tell me in case of normal goods, are they positively related or negatively related? Right? Let me check how much you are listening now. In case of normal goods, are they positively related or negatively related? These are positively related. Positive. What do you mean by positively related? In whatever direction income moves, the demand will move in the same direction. Simple. Whatever is the direction income moves, demand will move in the same direction. Now, simple question to you people. Imagine a product is there, and let's say this is a normal product. If income increases, demand for the product will also increase. Is it okay? If income increases, demand for the product will also increase. And if I were to give you numbers like this, income will increase from 100 to 120, demand will increase from 500 to 550 units. Income will increase, demand will also increase. Now, can I write the numerator as positive? Look at it. Can I write the numerator as positive? Don't worry about number. Focus on positive and negative. Why? Direction. Right? If income is increasing, demand has increased. Numerator is a positive. What about the denominator? Denominator is also positive. Now, you tell me positive divided by positive. Positive divided by positive. What is the outcome? Positive. Is it okay? Right? High school now. You are supposed to go back to high school. Positive divided by positive. Right? Outcome is nothing but positive. Don't worry about numbers. So 10%, 20%. Don't worry. Focus on positive. Why? Normal goods positively related. Inferior goods negatively related. You're talking about positive relation and negative relation. And can I say positive means greater than 0? Let me check. Positive is nothing but greater than 0. Any difficulty, please do let me know now. Because once you've understood this, there's nothing here. It's basically an application. Positive means greater than 0. So whenever you calculate income elasticity of a demand, IED, income elasticity of a demand, we are trying to measure with the change in the income, how much is the change in the demand for a product. But more importantly here, we are not worried about numbers. We are worried about whether income and demand, are they moving in the same direction or are they moving in opposite direction. If they are moving in the same direction, means right, the income elasticity of a demand will be greater than 0, and these are called as normal goods. Right? These are referred to as normal goods. And if they are moving in opposite direction, you will get a negative outcome that is lesser than 0. These are called as inferior goods. These are generally referred to as inferior goods. This is income elasticity of a demand. Any doubts, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'll go to the next one here. Right? Because it is basically the application of what you have learned earlier in the concept of normal and inferior. Right? Can I go to the next one here? We'll take a break after this. Don't worry. We'll finish elasticity, then we'll take a break. Now, cross elasticity of a demand. Example for inferior goods. Example for inferior goods are public transportation, right? Public transportation and cereals such as bajra and ragi. We have discussed that earlier as well. Cross elasticity of a demand. Right? What is the side of a cross elasticity? Simple. It will measure the change. Right? It will measure the change in demand for one product against change in the price for another product. Right? Understand this carefully. Cross. Right? Cross elasticity here means we are trying to measure if there is a change in the price for one product, either goes up or goes down. Doesn't matter. As a result of this, how the demand for another product will change. We are trying to measure price and demand for two products. Now, what is the importance of this? Let me start with example. Substitutes. Substitutes. Do you remember substitutes? Right, sir. Example of a substitute. Tea and coffee. Let's start now. Tea and coffee. Let's say hypothetically, good X is, let's say, coffee, and good Y is tea. Now, understand this carefully. Price of tea goes up. Price of tea goes up. Now, is it okay if I say, as a result of this, demand for coffee will also go up? Is the logic okay? Price of tea goes up. As a result of this, demand for coffee will also go up. Now, right, coffee demand has gone up. It is positive. Agreed? Numerator, it is positive. Price of tea has gone up. Denominator is also positive. What is going to happen as a result of this? The cross elasticity of substitutes will be greater than 0. Any difficulty, please do let me know. And once you understand this, you will not face difficulty regarding these questions. Right? If the CD for two goods is greater than 0, then these are nothing but substitutes. And as such, in the first class also we have discussed this. The price and the demand for substitutes are always positively related. And it makes perfect sense. It should make sense to you. Price and demand are positively related. If price of a tea goes up, demand for coffee also goes up. So difficult, my dear. Please revise then. It is happening because you are not revising. If the price of tea goes up, what will you do? Will you consume more tea? Let me know. Right? Will you consume more and more tea? Of course, no. What you will do is, you will reduce the consumption of tea and shift to coffee. So what will happen to demand for coffee? Demand for coffee will also go up. Right? The problem with you people is you don't follow the idea here. Right? You do not revise. That's the reason it becomes very difficult. Let me give you an idea. Let's say price of tea goes up from 10 rupees to 12 rupees. The rise is how much? 20%. And UPSC is not worried about the calculations. Right? Understand this. Price of tea has gone from 10 rupees to 12 rupees. Right? Plus 20%. What about the demand for coffee? Imagine earlier the demand for coffee was 400 units. Now the demand for coffee has increased to let's say 440 units. What has happened to the demand for coffee? Sorry, plus 10%. Plus 10%. Substitute. Substitute. Numerator is the demand plus 10%. Denominator is the price plus 20%. Now do not worry about calculations. We are not worried about calculations. What is the outcome? What is the outcome? Is it going to be a positive or is it going to be negative? The outcome is going to be positive. And rather than saying positive, I'll simply say greater than 0 because there are two people who are asking, sir, why are you comparing against 0? My dear, idea is, do you remember number line? Do you remember the idea of a number line? Now basically I'll have to go to high school. Do you remember number line? It will be written like this: 0 plus 1 plus 2, so on till infinity. On the left side of a 0, minus 1 minus 2. Now whenever I say greater than 0, whenever I say greater than 0, all these numbers are positive. Any difficulty? Any difficulty? All these numbers are positive. And whenever I say less than 0, all these numbers are negative. So do not worry about numbers. That's the reason I'm telling you, you're focusing on the thing which is not necessary. Focus on the outcome. Focus on the outcome. Is it positive? Is it negative? So why should I focus on outcome? What is the idea of substitute goods? Price and demand for two sets of goods will move in same direction. Is it not positive? Movement is important. Right? Have a look at this. On the other side, price and demand will move in opposite direction. So any example of opposite direction? Car and petrol. Printer and ink. Don't you think price and demand will move in opposite direction for these two goods? These are complementary goods. So whenever you have a cross elasticity of a demand which is less than 0 or negative in simple terms, it is complementary goods. And whenever you have CD greater than 0, these are substitutes. Now there is a special case that I've written here, right? CD is equal to 0. And there is a reason why I've written. Some of you will do this permutation combination. You will read in the newspaper, in the first page they've written, price of tea has gone up. In one page you'll come across the article which says price of tea has gone up. In subsequent pages, you'll also read that the demand for shoe polish has gone up. Now you'll apply your CSAT brain here. Right? You'll basically apply the CSAT brain. That is basically you'll do the calculation. Price of tea has gone up, denominator is positive. Demand for shoe polish has gone up, numerator is positive. And now you'll come to a conclusion. The tea as well as the shoe polish are both basically one and the same. That is substitute goods. This is wrong. Are you understand this? Right? It is wrong. Okay, so have a look at this. If these are unrelated goods, right, leave it. Do not compare it. Do not compare. Do not waste your time. Simply say CD is equal to 0. And if you go ahead and complain and say compare, what does it mean? If the price of tea goes up, you will consume lesser tea and you'll start drinking more and more shoe polish. Right? Let me know if that makes sense to you. Okay. So these are the three types of elasticities. Okay. So one is income, second one is price, third one is cross. Fourth one is related to supply. Simple concept. Understand this. There are certain goods where the prices of the goods, if it changes, the supply will also change. Is it okay? The supply will also change. Now the question is to what extent the supply will change. What is the magnitude, etc., etc. Fourth one is price elasticity of a supply. Price elasticity of supply, PES, measures the change in the supply with unit change in the price of the product. That is, if there is 1% change in the price of the product, if the price of the product changes by 1%, the supply will change by how much percent? Supply will change by how much percent? That is called as price elasticity of supply. Again, same logic, right? Price increases by 10%, supply increases by 20% or 10% or 5%, substitute and you'll get these outcomes. Whenever price elasticity of a supply or PES is less than 1, we say supply is inelastic. Simple. We say supply is inelastic. So why is the supply inelastic? It could be for multiple reasons. Prices could suddenly change. They could increase by 10%. But what if the manufacturer doesn't have access to raw material, doesn't have access to labor, right? It will not be able to produce and supply at a faster pace. So the supply is inelastic. Whenever PES is less than 1, supply is inelastic. Whenever PES is greater than 1, supply is elastic. This is the basic idea of price elasticity of supply. Done. So these are the 4 elasticities. And by the way, congrats, you are done with all the concepts in microeconomics which are required for civil services. Now you want to do a PhD, go ahead, do a PhD. But for civil services, that will not be required. This is much more than what is actually required for civil services. Okay. Now, right? Any issues? Any issues? Any doubts? Previous questions. Let me finish this also. Then we'll take up previous questions. Inelastic supply for short term, generally yes. Right? I hope you understand this. Whenever you talk about this inelastic supply, you basically talk about short duration. The supply cannot be inelastic for very, very long duration. If the supply is inelastic for very long duration, it simply means structure is something is wrong. You're trying to produce something for which, let's say, there is no availability of raw materials. For that, the supply can be inelastic very, very long duration. Okay. How do you remember all of this? It's simple. Please revise. Please revise. Please revise. Please revise. More you revise, more perfect you'll become with all of this. Okay. Angels wise is required, not necessary. Angels wise not necessary. Okay. Let's take a break then. Any other doubt? Which microeconomics book do we read? My recommendation is use additional reading material that we have provided and use PPT slides. I could recommend. Right? Some of you ask, sir, that don't do drama here. Tell me book. I'll simply say class 12th microeconomics of the NCERT. Is it required? Please focus here. I'm writing the name because some of you will basically argue with me and scold me. Right? So class 12th microeconomics. Should you read it? No. Absolutely no. I hope you understand my statement. Absolutely no means no. You have a interest. You are reading optionals. You want to read it? Maybe then. But for GS paper 3, should you read microeconomics? Absolutely no. Do not waste your time. You're simply wasting your time. Right? Which chapter? My dear, I'll tell you chapter, I'll tell you page number, I'll tell you paragraph, I'll tell you line. Right now, I hope you understand. Every chapter there are certain concepts that I've covered here. Okay, done. So let's take a break now. Let's take a break. I'll start at 8:05. I'll start at 8:05. Sorry, not PM. AM. Many people have a heart attack if I write PM. Okay, so let's start again at 8:05. Take a break. Welcome back. Let's start. Am I audible? Please do let me know if I'm audible. Done. Let's start. So we're done with the idea of microeconomics. Now let's slowly and steadily enter into macroeconomics. Now, first thing I want to discuss in macroeconomics is the idea of savings, investment, and capital formation. Okay, savings, investment, and capital formation. Let's go one by one. Let's start with savings, then investment, then what is capital formation. And you'll come across a lot of concepts now. Please listen to me very carefully. Let's start. Imagine here is a person. Okay, imagine here is a person. The person has earned income of 100 rupees. The income is, let's say, 100 rupees. First and foremost, right, from this 100 rupees, government will collect a certain taxes. Agreed? Government will collect the taxes. For example, income tax. Government will impose income tax and collect it. So 100 is income. Out of that 100, I'm deducting certain amount of a tax. What I'll be left out is called as disposable income. What I'm left out is nothing but referred to as disposable income. Sir, why are we calculating disposable income? Simple. If you're earning 100 rupees, you will not be able to spend all the 100 rupees. Why? Part of it is already deducted and taken away by the government. Government will already take away some of the part of your income. So you'll not be able to spend. You'll not be able to spend all this income. Right? This is the basic idea for disposable income. Let's say for sake of understanding, 100 rupees your income. The taxes are worth 10 rupees. Now, right, you basically have a disposable income of 90 rupees. You have a disposable income of 90. Out of that 90, you will, let's say, spend 50 rupees for immediate consumption. You'll use 50 rupees for immediate consumption. I'm using the term immediate consumption. In essence, it is nothing but expenditure. Agreed? In essence, it is nothing but expenditure. What do you do with remaining 40 rupees? I will refer to this 40 rupees as savings. I will refer to this 40 rupees as savings. But you tell me, why will you save money? Why do I save money? Why anybody surrounding you will save money? All of you will agree when I say savings are done for future consumption. Savings are done for future consumption. What do you mean by future consumption? Your father will tell you, your mother will tell you, or your parents, both of them together will catch hold of you and say, how much are you earning? How much are you saving? You should save now, because in the future you'll get married, you'll have kids, so you'll have to purchase house, you'll have to purchase car. How many days will I keep on giving you pocket money, etc., etc., etc. So idea is simple. I'm giving you definitions by the way. Expenditure is nothing but out of the expendable income, how much money is used for, or how much out of the disposable income, how much money is used for immediate consumption. And savings is nothing but out of the disposable income, how much money is kept for future consumption. This is the definition. Now let me go to the next step. You have said 40 rupees. You will take this 40 rupees, go to the bank. You'll take this 40 rupees, go to the bank and keep it in the form of deposit. Which deposit? Don't worry, that is not important here. You'll keep that 40 rupees deposit. Now the bank will take the 40 rupees, give it as a loan to company. Give it as a loan to company. Now the company will take 40 rupees and they'll purchase, let's say, machine. They will purchase machine, they will purchase raw materials, they will set up a manufacturing facility, etc., etc., etc. Done? They will purchase machines, raw materials, etc. Now when they purchase machines or raw materials or anything for that matter, what will they do? They'll basically produce the goods and supply them in the market. Produce goods or services, sell them in the market. As a result of this, employment will increase. Done? As a result of this, employment will increase. People will get jobs. Point one. Point number two, more production will happen, more supply will happen. And on the other hand, people are also earning salaries because employment is taking place. Now, don't you think on one side, production will increase. On the other side, because people have jobs now, demand will also keep on increasing in the market. Any difficulty in understanding the circle? Let me know. Right? So the demand in the market will increase. The supply in the market will also keep on increasing. Right? Remember this, there is a term called as virtuous cycle. What I'm explaining to you is a basic idea of a virtuous cycle. Don't worry today. Tomorrow we'll discuss in detail the idea of virtuous cycle. But understand the logic that I'm trying to explain here. You have earned income. Part of the income has been already taken away by the government in the form of taxes, or they will collect it later. Don't worry. Out of the remaining, which is called as a disposable income, some amount you will use it for immediate consumption. Remaining, you will save it. But this savings will lead to companies purchasing machines, companies are setting up manufacturing facilities, construction of roads, construction of other infrastructure as well. Right? So this is the basic cycle. This is the idea of a basic cycle that is going to take place or happen in the economy. Now let me start using technical terms. First one is savings. What is the savings here? Out of the total earnings made, the economy uses a part of it for immediate consumption, and the rest will be used for future consumption. That is called as savings. Now that savings that you have kept in a bank, that savings, understand this, or out of this total money, that amount of saved, which you will keep it in the bank, we'll refer to this as investment. Is it okay? We'll refer to this as investment. What is this idea for investment here? Come to the last point here. There's a term called as capital goods. All of you remember the term capital? Let me check. Do you remember the kind of a term capital? What is this capital? Capital simply means machineries. Right? Go back to the first class. Land, labor, capital. Right? So machineries. So how much of the money that you've earned will be now used in the economy to purchase machineries, so to set up manufacturing facility, to construct roads, etc. It is called as investment. Any difficulty? Any difficulty? Right? How much of your money that you've earned will be used for all these purposes? That is machineries. Or let's say investment in research and development. Patents. Have you heard of patents? So investment in research and development. Investment in construction of the roads. Right? Investments are done in construction of manufacturing facilities. Investments are done in order to purchase machineries, etc., etc., etc. All of this is referred to as investment. Any difficulty? Now, from one year to next year, don't you think in the economy, focus on India, in the economy, investments will keep on happening? I'm going to the third point, by the way. Third point now. From one year to next year, from this year to next year, from next year to the next year, from 23 to 24, 24 to 25, from 1 year to next year, investments will keep on happening. So from 1 year to next year, how much is the addition to the investment? I repeat, from last year to this year, how much investment I've done? From this year to next year, how much investment I've done? I will measure that. And when I measure how much investment is being done annually like this is called as capital formation. This is referred to as capital formation. I've discussed 3 points here, right? Let me know if there is any difficulty. One is savings and expenditure. Now, out of your income, how much money is used for purchasing, or how much is the money on machineries? How much is the money spent on roads? How much money is spent on a manufacturing facility? How much money is spent on, let's say, research and development to create patents? That is investment. And third point I'm saying is, from 1 year to next year, the investment will keep on happening. But I want to find out from last year to this year, how much investment has taken place. That is called as capital formation. Now, given you certain points, have a look at this. Point number 4. Whenever you talk about investment, that is, let's say, construction of roads, manufacturing facility, etc., do you think investment is always done by government? Let's see. Do you think investment is always done by the government? No. Apart from the government, we also have private sector. We also have private sector. What do you mean by private sector? Non-government companies, non-government entities. For example, we have Tata company, we have Adani company, we have Reliance company. Don't you think all of them will also invest? Right? So understand the logic here. Apart from the government, we also have private sector, which will make investment, which will also make investment. But within the private sector, again, there are two components. One private sector can be domestic private sector, that is Indian companies. In simple terms, Indian companies. Another component is foreign companies. Another one is foreign companies. I'll give you examples. Let me know if it is correct or not. All of you heard of Air Asia company? Air Asia. Air Asia is not an Indian company, by the way. It is not an Indian company. It is a foreign company. They have brought money and invested in India. Or the best example in current affairs, right, the Apple company. That is not specifically Apple, but Foxconn. Right, Foxconn. All of you heard of this? All of you heard of the Foxconn? Very recently they have announced investment of thousands of crores of rupees in Telangana. Amazon company, Walmart company. Right, there are hundreds of companies like this, or Volkswagen company. So all of these companies are not domestic. These are not Indian private sector companies. These are foreign private sector companies. But they will also bring money, invest in development of infrastructure. They will also bring money, set up a manufacturing facility. They will also invest and promote research and development in India, etc., etc., etc. So argument is very simple here. Whenever you talk about investment, you can get investment from the domestic market, either through government or private sector companies. You can also get the investment from the foreign market, that is from outside India. And when you receive investments from outside India, this is called as foreign direct investment. This is referred to as foreign direct investment. Now, don't worry how FDI will come into India, where they are going to invest, etc., etc. Don't worry. There's a chapter, right? Investment model. Under the investment model, we'll cover it completely. We'll cover it completely. Do not worry about it today. But this is the fourth point I wanted to cover. Any difficulty, please do let me know now. Right? So savings are there. You will take the savings, you will invest, you'll basically put it in a bank. Right? You'll give it to a company, etc., etc. What they will do is they will use that money and purchase machines. They will use that money, construct, right, let's say manufacturing facilities. They will construct bridges, etc., etc., etc. So that savings will be used for investment in the market, into machineries, into assets like this. That is called as capital. And from 1 year to next year, again I repeat, from 1 year to next year, there will be a lot of investments which are going to take place. So from last year to this year, how much investment I have done, I want to measure that. That is called as capital formation. And the formula for capital formation is this. That is the rate of capital formation. It is investment divided by GDP. Now let me explain. What is this idea for GDP? GDP simply stands for gross domestic product. GDP stands for gross domestic product. Now, what is this gross domestic product? I'm giving you the definition. Focus now. Domestic product means within India. Within India, what is the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced? Simple, I'll repeat it. What is gross domestic product? What is the price? Price means market price. What is the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in India? That is called as a gross domestic product. I'll give a very simple example. Imagine in India, 10 goods are produced. And the market price for each of the goods is, let's say, 15 rupees. And 20 services are produced. And the market price of each of the services is, let's say, 20 rupees. So 10 into 15, 150 rupees. 20 into 20, 400 rupees. Now, what is the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in India? 550. This is called as GDP. This is referred to as GDP, right? Gross domestic product. Right? Now, understand this carefully. Whenever you talk about rate of capital formation, right? Again, first point is what? The idea of gross capital formation. Gross means what? Total amount of capital formation is how much? Again, the term capital formation means how much investment. How much investments are taken, right, compared to the value of GDP. So out of this particular capital formation, from last year to this year, how much has been the investment compared to the GDP value? That is called as the rate of capital formation. Can I go to the next one now? Can I go to the next concept? Please explain GDP again. GDP means the market price of all the goods and services which are produced. All the goods and services which are produced, final goods and services. Now, I took an example. Imagine in case of India, 10 final goods are produced. Market price is 15, 150 rupees. And services 20 are produced. Market price is 20, value is 400. 150 plus 400, what is it? 550 rupees. That is the GDP. That is nothing but GDP. So imagine, right, in the last 1 year, we have produced 550 rupees worth of goods and services in India. And the amount of investment we have done is, let's say, 100 rupees. Amount of investment in the last 1 year is 100. The value of GDP is 550. Now simply calculate it. Again, UPSC will not ask you all of this. Right? How much will you get? You will basically cancel 1010, 5 11s, 5 2s, so 200 divided by 11. I'll just round it off, 19%. Right? Your capital formation rate is 19%. Okay? That is the basic idea. That is the basic idea of rate of capital formation. Okay, now, whenever you talk about capital formation, why it is important? From 1 year to next year, why should we invest? And some of you are asking, sir, savings is equal to capital formation? No, I did not say that. I did not say that. I took an example where you will save and keep the money in the bank. Now, you tell me, whatever money you save, will you invest in the market? At least apply what you do in real life. You will only understand. How many of you think whatever savings you do, you'll invest in the bank? You'll put it in the bank. You'll give it to a company. How many of you think so? If you say, yes, sir, right, I've seen everything happening like this only, then you do not know what your mother does. Talk to her today. Ask them. You will realize it. Right? Forget about them. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. If you got a salary of 1 lakh rupees, right, do you invest all the 1 lakh rupees in a bank deposit? No. You will keep some of the amount of money in the form of cash in the home. Yes or no? Some of this amount you'll keep it in the home itself. Why? You'll say, sir, emergency, right? I might require in terms of emergency, right? So the argument is simple. You will save money, but all the savings you do not invest. You do not put it in the market. Part of it you will put it in the market. So whatever out of the savings will come, that is basically the idea of investment. Okay. Now, why capital formation is important? From 1 year to next year, why capital formation is important? Simple. One, it will lead to increasing production. Now, can I use the term GDP here? Let me know. Why capital formation is important? There is a requirement of increasing GDP. What is the connection between capital formation and GDP? This is a very interesting question. You tell me, my dear. You tell me. Is capital formation not needed to increase your GDP? I hope you understand this. Is capital formation not required for GDP purposes? Of course it is required. What were you listening when I was discussing all of it? So GDP you want to increase. How do you increase GDP? How do you increase the market price of all the goods and services? Increase production. Increase production, automatically your GDP will increase. Now you want to increase production. How? How can you increase production? You need to invest. And if you keep on investing more and more, is it not capital formation? Right? Compared to last year, you have invested, let's say, 100 crore rupees. That is capital formation. So one, increase production, increase GDP. Second, it is also associated with efficiency of labor. Yes or no? It will be self-evident. You will set up a manufacturing facility. You will ask the people to work in the manufacturing facility. Are we not using the labor efficiency? Imagine from one machine, now we will switch over to another machine. Latest technology, capital formation. If you bring in latest technology, don't you think worker productivity will increase? Right? So associated with labor efficiency is also associated with the technological progress. Because whenever you invest, please understand this. Whenever you invest, you will not only invest in development of infrastructure. Right? You will not only invest in infrastructure, you will also invest in research and development. Is the logic okay? You will also invest in research and development. You will invest and set up a facility where, right, a lot of innovation is done. Patents are generated, etc., etc. So investment can be in development of infrastructure, which will help us in producing and selling other goods in the market, and it is also associated with research and development. Capital goods are those that help in production of other goods. So how road is a capital good? My dear, road is a capital good road is a part of capital, that is infrastructure, because capital goods are assets. Essentially, capital goods are assets that may not help you in producing a good, but if you're manufactured here, your market is here. Tell me, how will you bring it to market? Right? I hope you understand. You're manufactured here, but your market is here. How will you bring it to the market? Don't you think road infrastructure is necessary there? Right? Warehousing infrastructure is necessary, etc., etc. So logistics sector is necessary. So come back to this here. It is associated with the technological progress, better utilization of natural resources, whatever minerals you are getting. Right? Don't you think with better technology, we'll be able to utilize the resources in a much better way now? Is associated with always a rising demand as well as supply of goods and services. Any difficulty with the last point? Please go back to the cycle that I've explained earlier. If investment is happening in the economy, it simply means there's a capital formation. And when there's a capital formation, are we not increasing the employment? Right? With the change in the employment, with the rise in the employment, people are earning more salary. They will start demanding more and more goods and services. Right? So these are certain important outcomes or certain reasons why we actually require capital formation. Point 2. My dear, when you have better technology, rather than producing 10 goods, now the labor will be able to produce 12 goods. Labor productivity will increase. Okay? Done. So these are the reasons why capital formation is necessary. Now, whenever you talk about capital formation, there's a term called as gross capital formation. So what is gross capital formation? Total amount of capital formation that is happening in 1 year. Simple. In 1 year, how much is the total capital formation? That is called as gross capital formation. The gross capital formation is divided into 2 parts. Remember this. Gross capital formation is divided into 2 parts. Follow this carefully. Most of you get stuck up because you are not focusing on the discussion. One component is called as a GFCF, gross fixed capital formation. Second one is called as a stock. Now, what is the basic idea? How do you differentiate? Follow this carefully. The gross fixed capital formation is that part of the capital where investments are not done on day-to-day basis. I repeat, where investments are not done, not is important, where investments are done periodically, not on everyday basis. So what do you mean by that? Let me ask you a very simple question. Imagine you're a manufacturer, you're a producer of this bottle. A simple question to you people, will you purchase machines every day? Think of it and answer. Just think of it and answer. Right? Will you purchase the machine to manufacture this bottle every day? Of course, no. Let's say you spend 5 crore rupees, you'll purchase a machine today. After 5 years, after 10 years, you'll purchase one more machine. Any difficulty? Please do let me know. Do we set up a manufacturing facility every day? Of course, no. Again, when I say set up a manufacturing facility, imagine you set up one facility now. Tomorrow you'll destroy it, start constructing one more. Absolutely no. So again, logic is simple because I've seen most of the books. This is where some books are erring. It's a fault. What they say is gross fixed capital formation means investment in that capital which is fixed. I hope you understand this. And I know many of you will read it and believe that it is correct. Some of you will basically say, or you'll read that and say, yes, sir, it is correct. Gross fixed capital formation, they'll say it is an investment on the fixed capital. That is the capital that is not movable. It is fixed. Then some of you will have again this doubt. Sir, but machines are movable. I hope you understand. Machines are movable. You have written machines under gross fixed capital formation. It is wrong. No, please understand this carefully. Whenever you talk about gross fixed capital formation, it is investment in the capital which is going to be done periodically, not on day-to-day basis, periodically, after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, like this. That is gross fixed capital formation. What about the stock? Let me ask you again a question. And remember it is easier to understand. You're a manufacturer, you're manufacturing this bottle. A simple question to you. Will you keep on spending money, let's say on day-to-day basis or once every 2 days to purchase raw material or not? To purchase input goods or not? To purchase intermediary goods or not? Right? Argument is yes. I hope you understand. Yes. Answer is yes. That is called as stock. How do you define stock? It is a type of a capital where the investment is done on a regular basis. Here, right, regular or periodically, once in a 5 years or with a time gap. But here, on regular basis, on day-to-day basis, you keep on spending money. That is called as a stock. Any difficulty in dividing both of them, please do let me know. Any difficulty? Here, periodically, here, regularly, day-to-day basis. For example, raw material, intermediary goods, etc., etc. That is called as stock. But please understand, both are capital only. Both are capital. Why? You are able to produce and sell in the market, get money. Right? That is basically the concept of gross capital formation. Okay, the idea of a gross capital formation. Now, before going forward, look at this picture. I want to come back to this picture. Whenever you talk about gross capital formation, or let's say the rate of capital formation, there are three very important things that you need to be very careful about. What are the three important things? One, focus on the picture, and you will only tell me yes, sir. All the three are important. One, you need to ensure that whoever is there in the economy, they will have to save money. Agreed? Whoever is there in the economy, they will have to save money. Point number two, whatever savings are there, we need certain institutions to collect them. Whatever savings are there, we need certain market or institutions so that these savings can be brought in. And third one, you also need to ensure that the companies are working very well. The companies are also working efficiently, are working very well. If any one of the three, right, there is a problem, the whole idea of capital formation will be affected. I hope you understand. Look at all the three, you will only realize. If any one of the three is not working well, then the whole idea of capital formation will be affected. So how? Imagine companies want to borrow. Right? Everybody wants to borrow, but people are not saving money. People are not keeping deposits. People are not purchasing anything such as instruments, securities in the market. From where do you think companies will be able to raise money? Right? Second, people have saved money. Banks are not working well. Banks are incurring losses. Will you keep your 100 rupees in the bank then? Will you keep your 100 rupees? No, rather than investing in the bank, you will keep that money with yourself. Is it okay? Right? That's where I use one more term here. One is called as physical savings. One is referred to as physical savings, and the second one is called as a financial saving. Physical savings, the best example is you will take the 100 rupee. There's a hundi in the home. You will put it in the hundi. Right? Again, do not literally take it as hundi only. You will keep cash with yourself. You'll purchase gold, because gold we import it. We don't produce most of it in India. We import it. Right? So argument is, if you save money, it is better to invest in the market. Right? Let's say in the fixed deposit. Right? In the savings deposit, in purchasing bonds, etc. Now don't run behind the term bond. We'll discuss the bond later. Have patience. Have patience. We'll discuss what is share, what is bond, etc., etc. So these are the three very important things that every economy requires in order to ensure that there is a capital formation in the economy. Done. So this is the discussion regarding savings, investment, and capital formation. Now, what is happening in case of India? Not today. As and when we keep on discussing these concepts, right? What is happening in industries? What is happening in the banking sector? What is happening to employment, etc., etc. All of those you'll be able to connect to the idea of savings, investment, and capital formation. Right? So finally, we have come to the questions. Right? We have come to the questions. Okay. Let's start. Okay. So these are the questions. Let's start. Let's start discussing these questions. 47% have answered correctly. Why? It should be more. It should be more. Let's apply what we have learned. This is point one. And point two, just observe what kind of questions have been asked. I hope you understand. Just understand what kind of questions are being asked. Consider the following statements. Other things remaining unchanged. Market demand for a good might increase if price of its substitute increases. Tea and coffee. Of course, yes. Price of its substitute increases. Right? The tea and coffee example, yes, it will happen. Price of its complement increases. No. Price of its complement increases. No. Right? So the car and petrol example. The good is an inferior good, and the income of the consumer increases. Right? Inferior good, income goes up. What should happen to the demand? Demand should go down. Here itself, if you use elimination method, you already have the almost appropriate answer. Good is an inferior good, right? So obviously, no. 3 is also wrong. You already have the right option. Its price will fall. Straightforward. If the price will fall, right, you can get a higher demand. So 1 and 4. Right option to the question is 1 and 4. Okay. But written other things remains unchanged. My dear, except these, if everything else remains unchanged. That is what they're saying. Okay. The good is an inferior good, and income of the consumer increases. What is an inferior good? If the income of the person goes up, demand should go down. That is what is exactly the outcome here. But they're asking the demand should increase. Okay. Next one. 52% have answered correctly. It should be more than that. Let's start. So which of the following can add to aggregate demand? Aggregate demand means total demand. Which of the following will increase the demand? That's as simple as it. Let's start. Lowering of income tax rate. You tell me, correct or not? Just now we have discussed it. Just now we have discussed this. Right? I told you example, 100 rupees is your income. Okay. Minus the taxation. Minus taxation. Right? So basically you will have a disposable income. You will have disposable income. So when the tax will go up, your disposable income will go down. Done. And when the tax will go down, your disposable income will increase. So if income tax rates are reduced, what will happen to disposable income? Disposable income will go up. Will it add to the total demand in the market? Of course, yes. First one is correct. Increase in the cost of raw materials. Increase in the cost of raw materials. Right? The raw materials, if the cost increases, imagine you're manufacturing the bottle, cost of the steel goes up. What do you think will happen to the market price of the bottle? Market price of the bottle should also go up. If the market price of the bottle goes up, what will happen to the demand? Demand will go down. Right? So second one is wrong. Third one is VAT. Many of you would have got stuck up here itself. Nothing wrong, because VAT I'm yet to discuss. Maybe in the next week or a week after that, when I take up taxation, we'll have a discussion. But what is the idea of VAT? Simple. Imagine you want to sell this bottle at 100 rupee. Government will impose a tax, let's say 10 rupee. the market price will become how much? 110. This is the idea of VAT I'm referring to here, value added tax. Now, if value added tax will go up from 100 rupee to 20 rupee, what will happen to market price? Market price will go up. And if the market price goes up, what will happen to the demand? Demand will go down. Right. So even the third one, the demand will be lower. Right. So the right option for the question will be option A. Only one is correct. Any difficulty? Any difficulty? Let me go to the next one. Okay. So my fear has come true now. Most of you are wrong. Why? You do not remember what we have discussed in the beginning of the class. In the beginning of the class, that is, let's say after at around 6:05 or 6:10 a.m. You tell me, where does the term expansion and contraction come? First and foremost, where have you discussed the concept of expansion and contraction? We have discussed whenever you're talking about movement along the curve. Do you remember it? Not elasticity, movement along the curve, right? Movement along the curve. And you tell me, when there is a movement along the curve, what is changing? Let me see. When there is a movement along the curve, what is changing? Price of the product is changing. Is your income changing? Think of it. Is your income changing, and will you see a movement along the curve because of that? Is your taste and preference changing, and as a result of this, will you see a movement along the curve? Second one is no. Third one is no. Right option is option A. Right option is option A, because please be very careful. Again, I'm telling you this. When you talk about increase or decrease, you assume all the other factors except the price is changing. When you talk about contraction and expansion, you're talking about change in the price of the good. Okay? Any difficulty? Can you explain difference between option 1 and what is the other option? Option 3. My dear, when you eliminate 2 and 3, how can you say option 3 and 1 are? My dear, it simply means you are not even following what we have been discussing. Please go back, have a look at it. I've told you all of this. Whenever only the price changes, can you understand it? Whenever only the price of the product changes, you will see movement along the curve. And when you see movement along the curve, we will use the term expansion, contraction. And anything else changes, like price of the related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preference, etc., right? It is called the shift of the curve, increase or decrease. So right now, only option 1, or let's say option statement 1 is correct. Next one. Till how long the class will be going on? Till 9:30. Till 9:30. Okay, good. 67% have answered. But why? What about others? What is the issue here? It's a straightforward question. Income effect on the demand for inferior goods. Income effect means what? If income changes, either goes up or goes down, what is going to happen to the demand for inferior goods? You tell me. If the income of the consumer goes up, what will happen to the demand for inferior goods? Will go down. So what is the relation? What is the effect of income here? Effect of income is negative. Sir, can it be opposite also? Yes. Right. If the income of the person goes down, the demand for inferior goods will go up. Opposite direction, negative. Right option for this question is option B. Okay. Next one. Can you solve it like this rather than having poll, you waiting, etc., etc.? Let's solve it like this. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding public goods? Public goods are neither excludable nor rivalrous. All of you agree? Public goods are neither excludable nor rivalrous. That is, the public goods, they will not charge when they supply to you. Even if you don't pay, you can get access to it. And in the context of a public goods, so these are non-rival also. If you keep on consuming, it is still available. It doesn't reduce the availability to others. Okay, so right option is option C. Done. So a descriptive question, please look at the descriptive question. I'll explain this. Please look at the descriptive question first. So leaderboard, sir, leaderboard, see leaderboard. Have a look at the leaderboard. Okay. Let's start. A descriptive question. Capitalism has guided the world economy to unprecedented prosperity. However, it often encourages short-sightedness and contributes to wide disparities between the rich and the poor. In this slide, would it be correct to believe and adopt capitalism for bringing inclusive growth in India? Do not worry about the term inclusive growth now. Listen to me. Do not worry about inclusive growth right now. Let me ask you a very simple question. We have discussed the idea of capitalism. Right? Don't you think capitalism will promote investment, employment, GDP growth rate, higher freedom for consumption, etc.? These are the advantages. I hope you remember. These are the advantages. So what you need to write here, simple. Start with introduction. Whenever you write about mains answers, remember 3 components. One should be introduction, second one will be the main body, and the third one will be conclusion. Either it could be conclusion, it could be way forward as well. It could be conclusion, it could be way forward as well. Now, how do you apply all of this in the question given here? Simple. Start with introduction. What is introduction? In Indian economy from 1948, we have been following the model of mixed economy. Under capitalism, all the resources will be under the private sector. That's it. Do not waste your number of words. This is my suggestion to all of you. Generally, whenever you get questions in the UPSC mains, it will be 150 words or 250 words. Which means you cannot write a very lengthy introduction. If you write 200-word introduction, gone. Whatever you wanted to discuss in the main body, you have missed it. So keep the introduction very short. Then come to the main body. What's the main body? Main body is what are the advantages as well as disadvantages of capitalism. Because the question says, should we adopt capitalism? Should India adopt capitalism? Right? So write what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages or concerns, then come to the conclusion. In the conclusion, you can simply say, looking at the disadvantages and the situation in India. What is the situation in India? Don't you think there is a rising income inequality? Point 1, rising income inequality. Poverty population very high. Wealth inequality very high, etc. Keeping in mind all these factors, India adopting a mixed model economy is better compared to adopting capitalism. right? Rather than adopting capitalism, mixed economy model is much better. This is how you conclude, right, the question here. Done. So just follow these kind of tricks, and trust me, right? I am telling you this. Do not wait for somebody to tell you this. Start mains answer writing now. Sooner you start, better it is. Sooner you start, better it is. Okay, done. So this is a discussion related to the mains as well as the prelims questions which have appeared from chapter number 1. The next chapter that I'll be starting. Why did you discuss questions today? We discuss on Friday. How does it make a difference? You tell me. How does it make a difference whether you discuss on Friday or today after each chapter? That is not important. Focus on what is being discussed. Okay. National income aggregates. Next chapter that I'll be taking is national income aggregates. But any issue so far? Can we draw the graphs and pictures in the mains? So for these kind of questions, please don't draw. Not required. Because the question that has been asked is that's the reason. Do not expect a universal answer to every question. Do not expect a universal answer. Don't expect that one question will have a standard answer or all the questions will have a standard answer like this. In some cases, you're expected to draw certain pictures. In some cases, there is no requirement of pictures. There is no universal answer for all of it. Okay, let's start now. The next chapter that I'll be discussing is the national income aggregates. And if you've been reading the newspaper, this is very, very important. Very, very important. What is the idea? The national income aggregates will discuss concept of GDP. We'll discuss the concept of GDP, gross domestic product. Very much important, very much relevant. And if you are reading newspapers, you would know that, right, this idea was there in the newspapers. So what I'll discuss is the first one, different types. How do we, right, basically calculate incomes? For example, there is one called as GDP. Have a look at this. Long form also I've written here. One called as GDP, gross domestic product. Second one is GNP, gross national product. Third one is NDP, net domestic product. And fourth one is NNP, net national product. Can I connect it to current affairs? Can I connect it to current affairs? For example, last week, the government of India announced that the Q3 GDP growth rate has fallen down to 4.4%. Again, don't worry, we'll come to this. Don't worry, we'll go point by point. Right, Q3 GDP has fallen down to 4.4%. Current affairs. I'll connect one more point here. Various newspapers are carrying this article since 2014 and 15 in India. The per capita income has doubled. Per capita income has doubled. How do we calculate per capita income, etc., etc.? We'll understand now. Okay, so these are certain very important points. Please be careful. Understand the concept. Apply in the current affairs. So one, types we will discuss. What is the latest GDP methodology we will discuss? Per capita income, pro and counter cyclical growth, vicious and virtuous cycle of growth. And as usual, after that we'll take questions. Now let me start with the first one. Here. Gross domestic product, GDP. Now what is GDP here? GDP simply means total market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in a particular region for a specific time period. I'll repeat it again. What is the total market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in one region for specific time period? What do you mean by this? Remember this, there's a concept of financial year. There is this idea of a financial year. They will use the term financial year, or else they will also use a short form of this, fiscal. Financial year or fiscal. Now what is this idea of a financial year or a fiscal? It will start on 1st of April. It will start on the 1st of April and will go until 31st March. Simple, understand this? Again, don't get into the philosophy, don't do PhD here. So why like this, why like that? Not at all relevant for your exams. Don't focus on noise, focus on news. So idea is simple here. A financial year will start from 1st of April and will end on 31st March. For example, we are in the month of March. All of you agree? Anybody who says no sir, we are not in March, we are in some other month. We are in the month of March. Now, right, understand this. 31st March 2023. 31st March 2023. This financial year started on the 1st of April 2022. The financial year started on the 1st of April 2022 and will end now on 31st March 2023. Point number 1. Point number 2. The financial year, please remember this very carefully, is divided into 4 quarters. Financial year is divided into 4 quarters. That is, every quarter will have 3 months. Right? Obviously, total 12 months are there. You need 4 quarters. So divide 12 by 4, you'll have 3 months. For example, right now, is it okay if I say I'm in the quarter January, February, and March? Any difficulty? I'm in the quarter January, February, and March. And please understand, the quarter generally or the counting will start from the April. April, May, June. It is called as quarter 1. You'll come across Q1 like this. Quarter 1. July, August, September, quarter 2. October, November, December, quarter 3. January, February, March, it is quarter 4. Right now, is it okay if I say we are in the 4th quarter of a financial year 2023? This is also written, do not be confused. We are in the 4th quarter of financial year 23 or 2023. Do not worry, all of them are one and the same. In different newspapers, you'll come across different usages like this, all of them one and the same. Right, so this is a basic idea. Now, what is the GDP here? Let's say in the 4th quarter, what is the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in India? Remember this, I repeat it. GDP here is total market price of all the goods and services, that is final goods and services which are produced in India in this time period. Is it only for a quarter? Of course no. I can calculate GDP for half a financial year. I can also calculate GDP for full financial year. And that is point number 1. So whenever you come across the term GDP, remember this, they're talking about the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in India. You'll also come across the term GDP growth rate. You'll also come across a term called as GDP growth rate. What is the GDP growth rate? Let's say, for example, in the financial year 22, the value was 100 crore rupees. In the financial year 23, the value is 110 crore rupees. Right? Have a look at this. What is the growth rate here? 10%. This 10% is referred to as GDP growth rate. Is it okay? Can I go forward? Let me know. Is the logic okay here? Because very often you'll come across the term GDP growth rates in the market. Do not be confused. Growth rate means they are comparing and they are saying by how much percentage the GDP has increased. But if they say GDP of India is $3.7 trillion, very often you'll come across this. $3.7 trillion. We want to make Indian economy $5 trillion. What are they talking about? They are simply saying all the final goods and services which are produced in India should be of worth $5 trillion. Now that is the basic idea of the meaning of the term GDP, gross domestic product. Point number 2. How do we measure GDP? How do we calculate a GDP? And before going forward, who calculates it? Who will give the data to you? There is a ministry called as Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Ministry of Statistics and program implementation. And henceforth, I'll use the short form. Don't keep on asking, sir, what is the long form of all of this? In short, MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, there is one office, NSO, National Statistical Office, NSO. It is the duty of the NSO to publish GDP data. Simple. It is the duty of NSO, right, to publish the GDP data. For every quarter, GDP data is published. Half a year, data is published. Full financial year, data is published. Now, how do we calculate GDP? How do we calculate GDP? Simple. Let's start. There are three methods here. There are three methods. One is called output or product value method. Second one is income method. Third one is expenditure method. And we'll go one after the other. Follow the discussion carefully. One is a production method. Second one is income method. Third one is expenditure method. Let me start with the first one, output method. Now, what is the output method? Calculate all the final goods and services that you have produced and multiply that with market prices. Simple. I hope you remember earlier I've given you one calculation. I said, imagine in case of India, 10 final goods and services are produced and market price for each of them is, let's say, 10 rupees. 20 services are produced and let's say market price is 15 rupees. So in the first case, the market price of all the final goods and services will be 100. And in the second case, the market prices of all the services, first is goods, the second one is services, will be 300. What is the GDP value here? What is the GDP value here? GDP value is 400 rupees. GDP is nothing but 400, market price of all the goods and services, final goods and services which are produced in the country. Is the first one correct? Is the first one okay with all of you? Let me know. Let's simply find out how many final goods and services into market price. That is GDP through production method. Second one is income method. Second one is income method. Now remember the concept of factor incomes. Please go back to the idea of factor incomes. Right? Do you remember all this idea of factor income? What is this idea of factor income? In the economy, the resources are divided into four parts. Right? I'm repeating the first class now. In the economy, the resources are divided into four parts. Those are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. All of you remember this? Now, I asked you a very simple question last day. That is, let's say day for yesterday. For every factor input that you purchase as a company, whenever you purchase a factor input, you'll have to pay money. You'll have to incur expenditure. And I said, whatever the company pays for the factor input, that is called as a factor income. And whatever is the factor cost, it is nothing but factor income. Please revise it. If you don't revise, suddenly you get confused. Is it okay if I say whatever is the factor cost, it is nothing but factor income? That is whatever is the expenditure incurred by the company for consuming the services, either purchase a machine, labor services, entrepreneurship, etc. That is nothing but a factor income. Now, simple question to you. Please go back. You have to answer this. If you want to decide what is the price of this product, will you not count the factor cost? Let me know. If you want to decide what is the price of this product, will you not be counting all the factor cost or factor expenditure incurred by the company? Answer is yes. So what you have done in the first case? Tell me. What you have done in the first case, you have counted the price of the product. You have taken the price of the product. And how is the price of the product determined? Factor cost. Is it okay? How is the price of the product determined? Factor cost. Now, same factor cost, I will count it in another way. That is factor income. If I simply say only one product is manufactured, have a look at this. Let's take a simple example. Only one product is manufactured. Now tell me, whatever is the factor cost, will it be same as factor incomes? Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Imagine in India, only one product is manufactured. Whatever is the factor cost, will it be the factor income or not? If I decide to sell this bottle at 100 rupees in the market, total factor income will be how much? 100 rupees. That is exactly what we are doing. Right? I'm basically counting all the factor incomes which are generated. All the factor incomes which are generated in the economy. Either, right, the labor has generated factor income, raw material supply has generated factor income, etc., etc. All the factor incomes are counted. Get the sum total of all of this. That will give you GDP through income method. And the third one is expenditure method. Third method is called as expenditure method. First, let me start explaining this third method. Follow this. First and foremost, please follow this carefully. GDP means whatever is produced in India. You'll have to be very, very careful here. Once you understand, it becomes easy, but focus. Whatever is produced in India will be counted as a part of India's GDP. Now, let's start with a very simple example. The whole economy, can I divide it into three parts? One is households. Second one is private sector. Rather than using the term private sector, they can also use the term firms. Private sector or firms. Third one is the government. In fact, many of the books will also divide it into four and say RBI. Central banker, they'll write it separately. I'm writing central bank, that is RBI, as a part of the government. A simple question to you people. Look at, right, these 1, 2, and 3. A simple question to all of you. Can you think of anything else, anybody else in the Indian economy who will spend and purchase final goods? I'll repeat it again. Right, I've written 3 here. Right, 1, 2, and 3. Have a look at it. Can you think of anyone else who will spend and purchase the final goods in the Indian economy? Anybody? Is anybody else left out? That is the question. Is anybody else left out? Sir, FDI, my dear private sector. Where will you throw FDI? Private sector. Right, so argument is simple. The whole Indian economy can be temples, charitable organizations, everything will come under households. Right, everything will come under households. So housewives, my dear, households only. Households only. Sir, export and import. I'm talking about consuming in India. You're talking about export. Understand what I'm saying. In the first place. Right, so argument is simple. Don't do that now. Stop. You're simply wasting your time and my time also. You're simply trying to find out a problem. You'll not find. Stop it. So what we are doing is, we are dividing the whole economy into 3 parts. And whatever final goods are there in India will be consumed either by 1 or 2 or 3. Simple. Right? It will be consumed by 1 or 2 or 3, or it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 in fact. Now let me write it. Here is a household. They have spent money and consumed final goods and services. Here is a firm. All the firms which have consumed final goods and services. Third one is the government. which has spent and consumed all the goods and services. Now let me write numbers also so that you find it easier. Imagine households have spent 20 crore rupees, firms have spent 30 crore rupees, government has spent 50 crore rupees. Total expenditure, let's work point by point. Total expenditure will be how much? 100 crore rupees. Total expenditure on final goods and services is 100 crores. Can I call it as GDP of India? How many of you think 100 crore is the GDP of India? Will it be correct? Answer is wrong. It will not be the GDP of India. Why? Follow this carefully. I said the households, firms and government has totally spent 100 crore and purchased the final goods in India. But don't you think some of the final goods which we have purchased are imported? Let me know. Some of the goods and services that we have consumed in India, aren't they imported? Imported means what? This bottle is manufactured in USA. I repeat, the bottle is manufactured in USA. Now you tell me, if it is manufactured in USA, should I be counting the market price of the bottle as part of India's GDP? Will it be correct? Should it be counted as part of India's GDP? No, because whatever is produced in India, we should count it. So I will subtract the import. From all the expenditures which are done by the government, company and the households, I will subtract the inputs. That is point one here. Second point, imagine you are a manufacturer. You manufacture the remote in India. You manufacture this remote in India. Should it be counted as part of India's GDP? Yes. But what you have done is, you have manufactured it and you have exported it to China. Assume you have exported it to China. Now, will this remote be counted in this 100 crore rupees? Think of this. Is this remote counted in the 100 crore rupees? No, because it was not purchased in India. I understand. It was not consumed in India. It was consumed in China. So what is the next point here? There are certain exports which are manufactured in India but consumed outside India. Because they are manufactured in India, you have to count the value of exports. Any difficulty? Let me know. Argument is simple. Whatever is the expenditure on final goods and services done by the households, firms and government, count it. But some of these final goods and services are imported. So I will subtract it. And some of these final goods and services which we have manufactured in India, we have exported it. But because they are manufactured in India, we should count it. That is plus exports. Imagine exports are, let's say, 10 crore rupees. Imports are, let's say, 20 crore rupees. Now you can simply say 100 plus 10, 110 minus 20, 90 crore rupees. It is the value of GDP of India. It is the value of GDP of India. And whenever you talk about export and import, they'll simply write the term net export. They'll simply write the term net exports. Right? So basically, argument is what? Whenever you calculate through expenditure method, you are finding out how much is the total expenditure done by the households, the government, and the companies on final goods and services in India. But in addition to this, whatever final goods we have imported, subtracted, whatever final goods and services which we have exported, added because they're manufactured in India. That is GDP through expenditure method. Right? So production method, expenditure method, and income method. Out of all the three, have a look at this. Out of all the three, the first one is most important for you. Is it okay? Out of all the three, the first one is the most important. That is the methodology very often which is cited in the newspaper. But apart from the first one, we also use the third one. Now, many of you ask me, sir, why not the second one? Why not the second one? Even second one we can calculate GDP, but why are you not using the second one? Let me ask you a very simple question. I will come to your house and ask you how much total income you have generated. Will you tell me the right number? There itself lies the answer. Is it okay? Because in the income method, what do you require? Total incomes generated by everyone in India. Companies, right? Let's say you, me, right? The street vendors, etc., etc., etc. But tell me how many of us will give the right data when the government officials will come and ask us how much income we have earned. And that's the reason generally out of three, you will see two very importantly used. One is the expenditure method, second one is the production method. And tomorrow we'll have a detailed discussion about production method. That's very much relevant for you. But last concept for the day, this one. Please have a look at this. I'll explain this. Let's go point by point. Point number one. I said GDP can be calculated using three methods: production, expenditure, and income. Point number two. Whether you calculate GDP with first one, second one, third one, doesn't matter. The value of GDP ideally should be one and the same. I'll prove it. Just give me 2 minutes, I'll prove it. I'll repeat it. You can calculate GDP using method 1, method 2, and method 3. But whether you use 1 or 2 or 3, value of GDP should always be one and same. Value of GDP should not be different. It should be one and same. How do I prove it? Let's start. Ask concept for the day. Do not by heart calculations. UPSC will not ask you calculation. But you should know the fact that values will be one and the same. How do I prove it? Let's start. Imagine there is one country. Imagine there is one country, and in that one country, only one final good is produced. Is it okay? Just a hypothetical example to make you understand it easily. Imagine there is one country, and in this country, only one final good is produced. Let's start. Company B is producing the bottle, but to produce the bottle, they would require raw materials. They would require raw material, such as, let's say, steel. So what they will do? Company B will purchase that raw material from company A. And now company A, which has manufactured the steel, they will sell it to the company B at 500 rupees. They will sell that steel at 500 rupees. And what is the split of 500? Labor charges are 100 rupees, and the owner of company A wants to earn a profit of 400. So company B will purchase steel at 500. Now company B will also use labor, pay charges 200. Owner of company B wants to earn a profit of 300. So what will be the charge now? What will be the price at which company B will sell the bottle? 500 rupees cost of raw material, plus 200 labor charges, plus 300 profit that I want to earn. So company B will sell it to the consumer. Company B will sell it to the consumer at 1000 rupees. So buyer will purchase the bottle and pay 1000 rupees to the company B. Now let's start. Let's start. Right? Very simple model. Very simple model. Let's start. First method. What is the first method? Production methodology. Production methodology. How many final goods have been produced here? How many final goods? Final goods. That's very important. One final good. Anybody has a problem with this? One final good. And what is the market price of this final good? 1000 rupees. So what is the GDP through production method? Right? 1 into 1000, that is 1000 rupees. What is the second method? Income method. And what do we do in the income method? Get the sum total of all the factor incomes. Right? In the first step, right, under company A, we have 2 factor incomes. In company B, we have two factor incomes. Get the sum total of all of them. So 100 plus 400, 200 plus 300. So this 100 plus 200 is nothing but wages, factor incomes. 400 plus 300, it is profits, again factor incomes. What is the GDP through income method? What is the GDP? 1000 rupees. Come to the third method, expenditure method. Come to the third method, that is expenditure method. Now, only one product is there. How much is the total expenditure done on the final goods consumption in this market? The total expenditure that has been done by the consumer here is 1000 rupees. Right? So have a look at it now. Have a look at it. Method 1, 1000 rupee. Method 2, 1000 rupee. And method 3, 1000 rupee. Now, is it okay if I say whether you calculate GDP through production, income, or expenditure method, values should be one and the same? Any problem with this? Values should be one and the same. And again, how in detail, sir? Right? What about this? What about that? We'll understand that tomorrow. Right? There is a production methodology. I will tell you how it is done, etc., etc. Okay? Any difficulty in this? There is savings in the income. My dear, did I tell you something is saved? Did I tell you? And why are you worried about savings? Is GDP talking about savings? Tell me. The method of GDP, is it talking about savings? No, it is talking about expenditure. I'm assuming whatever word you spent. And that is basically how I've calculated it. Tell about expenditure method. What is expenditure method? You tell me what is expenditure method. How much government, how much households, and how much does the company spend on final goods and services? Right? In this example, how much expenditure has been done? Look at only this example. That's the reason I said model of the explanation that I'm doing is a very, very simplistic model. Very, very simplistic model. I'm not assuming any import, I'm not assuming any export. If that happens, we can account for that also. Here, right, if you use the formula C plus I plus G plus X minus M, right, what is happening? Only one expenditure is there, that is 1000 rupees. And that's the reason I said this is a very, very simplistic model. Okay? Any difficulty here? If it was offline, you would have punched us. No, no requirement of punching. Right? So this is a basic idea. What about savings? Again, follow my statement here. GDP is talking about expenditure. Do you understand it? Do you understand my statement? GDP is talking about expenditure. You are worried about savings. Right? Don't you think GDP talks about expenditure? Focus on that. Whatever you have not spent is part of savings. Right? But are we calculating savings here? No, we are calculating GDP. Okay? Right? So again, don't focus on unnecessary things. Focus on what is relevant for the discussion. Okay, now that's the end of the discussion for the day. Tomorrow, I'll pick it up from this method. Tomorrow morning, I'll start from the latest method. A lot of technicalities are there. Please join correctly at 6 a.m. Please understand this method carefully. Let me address your questions then. Is there any government political interference? Absolutely no. There is no interference of the government in the calculation of national incomes. Do not have that kind of a doubt. Are the NSO's calculations accurate? NSO's calculations are very accurate. You cannot say exact, these are accurate. Okay. Next one. You taught in the class only that is important, or some additional topics are given in the book. Should I read that? Be very, very selective. Be very selective. For example, we have discussed most of the whatever is given in the book. Should you read the whole book? Not necessary. That's the reason I keep on telling. You don't trust me. Take last 10 years question paper and then take any book for that matter. Just check. Even in 10 years, have they covered complete book? They will not cover it, right? Because a lot of concepts which are given in the book are not required for UPSC. They will simply dump it so that the size of the book will increase. Okay. Hindu growth rate, not today. We'll discuss that when I take up, let's say, the concept of planning. When I take up planning, I'll tell you. Okay. What about economics optional? If you have economics background, go for economics optional. I repeat, if you have economics optional and you're comfortable with paper 1 in optionals, not GS paper, optional, paper 1, that is where people will be hit very hard. Why? Paper 1 is very, very technical. Again, I'm talking about optionals. Those who do not have any connection to economics optionals, leave it. Okay. Should I read NCERT's 9 to 10th all? If your economics touch is not there, if you do not have any background in economics, I would recommend read it. If more money is in the bank, won't it reduce the demand by consumers and ultimately circulation of money will reduce or will it increase? Again, don't worry about this. We'll understand it later. We'll understand it later. When we look at the banking sector, we'll understand it. Ghostly, my dear, I'm very slow. In fact, I'm going very slowly. Please check the syllabus, the syllabus breakup that has been given to you. I'm basically going very slowly. I'm already behind by, let's say, about half a class. What about remittances? We'll understand it later, right? Understand it later. The subject is not yet over, right? Do not put the cart before the horse. Let's bring the horse first, then let's put the cart. Okay. Done then? Okay, done. We'll continue tomorrow morning from this concept. That is new methodology to calculate, to measure the concept of GDP, gross domestic product. That specifically I'm focused on the production method, the output method or the production method. Okay, so that's it from my side then. Right, take care. We'll meet tomorrow again exactly at 6 a.m. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.